No problem. So you completed? Everything under control? So who else was not there? You were not there? First class? UK. Okay. First class. So have you watched all the videos? Planning to watch? After the class, we'll have a talk. So very good morning to my online students. How are you guys doing? I got very good response from you. All the mails. By evening, I think everybody sent me the mail. Devanshu, that's why I didn't see you. Hope you recover fast. Very good morning, guys. Who else did not come? You did not come. Why? What happened? Okay. Same pinch. So your friend Devanshu, you, I. So I got a little throat in the morning and was finding it difficult to speak, but then syllabus. I looked at the syllabus and I realized everything is fine. Let's go on. So sometimes syllabus is the biggest motivator, right? So good to see you in the classroom. So good, Vanshu, you came back finally because it's important that we keep attending the lecture. iPad, hope you are doing well. Right? Keep a track on your food. You will be perfect very, very soon. So, guys, today we'll start with I'll tell you the roadmap now. Sure, definitely. So, those of you who joined the class today, you please have a talk with me towards the end. For I'll speak in a slightly low tone, just to save the throat. You were not there. All good? You meet me after the class. All right. Anybody from online who missed the test other than Devanshu? Please wait at the end of the class. Let's have a small talk. And Devanshu, mail the answer to me. I'll give you the email ID again. So, guys, the roadmap is that we'll complete trade today. So there are few things which I had saved towards the end of the trade. The reason being that these are those questions which I'm expecting in the exam. You are also not there. You will also wait after the class. So there are few things which I'm expecting almost with 90% surety that will definitely figure in the mains exam when you appear in the mains or somewhere in the prelims. Expecting those things almost with 90% or more than 90% surety. These are the things that we are going to do now first. The moment we complete it, we will start a new topic also called as employment. The only concern which I have today is the throat, which is forcing me to speak at a normal pace. Otherwise, I would have spoken at a different pace. So my plan is to do two things. One is trade and the second is employment. Employment, we will have a start and I will give you a roadmap of what to do for employment. So, okay, Vaishali, no problem, but hope you recover. And towards the end of the class, you please wait. So we'll have a talk. So guys, for employment, I'll give you a roadmap. There is a different style of learning economics. You would have realized by now. It's slightly different compared to the conventional style. So I'll give you, a fact book assignment today. We'll write a lot of things in the data book today towards the end of the lecture. Those things you are supposed to memorize before you come for tomorrow's lecture. You have to memorize it, cram it up completely, those things which you are going to write in the data book today. And then tomorrow we will start the explanation. So I'll give you a little bit of explanation related to employment today, little bit. It's a fresh topic. So even if this is your first class, there is no connection of this topic which I'm going to teach towards the end of the class from previous lectures. There is absolutely no connection. So if it's your first class, there is no problem. You still enjoy learning. So towards the end, employment, some memory cards which we are going to write in our data book. We memorize, we come back tomorrow, and then we start with the proper employment, etc., etc. In employment, what is the plan this year? The plan is to teach you first, in the first, let's say few hours, let's say 2 hours, we'll go for the prelims kind of employment things, formula, facts, updates from budget and survey. As the class progresses towards day after class, then we will get into the mains kind of class where we will understand. And this is something which I love doing because I've done a lot of data work during my learning of economics. So it's UPSC has started to ask this year. So if you ask the previous student, we did last year also. So what is that thing? So for example, from 1990 or not 1990, from 1947 onwards, what is the trend of employment, unemployment? These things we will do in the class. So I remember that, I mean, many people used to say, "Kya zarurat hai sab 1947." And then UPSC asks you a question that social sector initiatives in India, talk about the expenditure. So these, see, why do I tell you these things? Because there is nothing which is outside the syllabus. That's the thing. Because there is no syllabus. Since there is no syllabus, because UPSC has not written precisely what they want to ask, what they do is they write economic development. Everything is economic development fir to. So somewhere you have to take a call that, okay, in which direction I want to prepare so that I don't miss out. So whenever you study, I'll give an example, whenever you study employment, you have to study employment from 1947 onwards. What's the trend? Trend every 10 years. So let's say 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, this way we do it. That is also called as change in the structure of the economy. So these are the things we are going to do in the class. This takes time, but once if you do it, your concept of employment, unemployment, almost 100% clarity. And then you can argue that why is India having a problem today? These things we'll be able to do. And then we will also examine that what are the recent problems. When you say recent in economics, recent would be in 10, 15 years, 20 years. What is the problem in India since last 20 years? Then we compare that. And then we examine that what should India do in next 30, 40 years? Because they say it's demographic dividend. I say this is the structure of the topic. And there are two new things which we are going to do, three new things in fact. So for example, you would have heard that there are something called as gig workers. You would have heard it. That's old. Something new has come now. So gig worker is also there, but there is a brand new concept by the government of India, absolutely brand new. They say no to the class, you have not missed. Absolute brand new produced by the government of India. That concept I'm reserving for the class. I'll tell you what that concept. That's second. There is something called as technology and artificial intelligence and its role in deciding India's employment in future. That's the second part. Third thing, surprise. Government of India has said that one of the biggest sectors going to create employment is food processing and agro industries. And government has written lot of articles and lot of content on it. So we are going to do agro industries and how they are going to contribute in employment in the class. So earlier agro industries were being asked in UPSC in the nature of food security. That if you bring food processing industry, how will they promote food security? These things they were asking. But I think that this new topic which government has introduced, it might be asked in the exam. This is your roadmap which we are going to do. And after, so you might recall, we have had a discussion, I told you briefly that my plan this year is that first I want to do mostly the mains oriented topics so that, very good morning, so that answer writing part is taken care of. Now imagine if we do the mains type of topic towards the end, when are we going to do answer writing? When are we going to train each other about answer writing, practice, etc.? We won't be able to do it. So that's why slight change. So we will do, because you don't have to crack prelims, you have to crack UPSC. And in UPSC, your answer writing becomes one of the biggest weapons. So, and you would have seen in answer writing that we are not focusing only on economics. Because if only on economics we have to focus, then question answer can be done in 1 hour also. Same thing that we are doing in 3 hours can be done in 1 hour without explanation. But the thing is that you have to use these tricks in your other papers also. So answer writing has to be generic and one has to apply it in different subjects. So you were also not there. Okay. Oh, you were online yesterday? Day before yesterday you came, like the previous class you came. Okay, no problem. So, so what we have to do is, we have to do the mains kind of topic first. But then, when I was creating a calendar for you to do the topics, there are few topics where I cannot do the mains topic unless I do 1 or 2 prelims type of topics. So tomorrow I'll share a list of topics with you, which we are going to cover in next 15-20 days. Okay. And whenever we do, let's say, a prelims type of topic, there will be heavy MCQ practice in the class, almost like very heavy practice. But when we do the mains kind, practice will be oriented towards mains, little bit of MCQ as well. This will be the pattern. So tomorrow, let's see, I was supposed to do it today only. I thought I'll share the list of topics today only, what we are going to do for next 10-15 days. But then was little unwell, so couldn't prepare it. So tomorrow I'm going to share it with you. So today we will complete what we started, we were doing. Okay? So this topic is crucial. Today's lecture is crucial for mains. So some examples we did last time. Do you recall examples? Like for example, let's say India and Australia we did in the class. We were also doing European Union. I gave you some history of European Union. Right. So today let's start with India UAE. Please write India UAE. India UAE SEPA 2022. Very good. You have not missed anything, so enjoy the lecture. So, thanks. Oh, that thing, it's very natural. Thank you. You carry it, why? Acha, thank you so much. Very sweet of you. So, so guys, by now you should have my email. Thanks, no problem. Please increase the volume a little bit without echo. So guys, this is where you can mail me your answers. This is the topic just starting. So India UAE SEPA 2022. Let me tell you what interesting happened in India. So your title is India UAE SEPA 2022. See, how to go about it. You are smart kids now. You understand how to write all these things. See, how in the exam, if this question is asked, this question will not be this question will not be asked to you in the form of a separate question. So they will ask you what is SEPA, give one example. In that example, you will have to give it. Fine. So this is India, this is UAE. This is how you will write. Now, what are they doing under SEPA? Can you please tell me what are the things that we write under SEPA? Positive list. What is exchanged? Goods, services, investment. That's the convention. So without wasting time in the exam, because now you have the structure in your mind that this is how you create it. So what will you write as a positive list? You will write, you will write something very similar, simple, PL, positive, and here we will write goods, services, investment. Okay, fine, nothing new, nothing earth-shattering. Now, India told UAE that UAE, I will give you goods. UAE said, I will also give you some goods, whatever I have. India said, I'll give you services. UAE said, I will also give you services. So what services can UAE give? UAE can give us financial services, consultancy services. What services can we give? Software services. So this was the exchange then. Now look at this funny thing. India said, I will give you investment. UAE said, Acha, which investment? Immediately Tata said, Burj Khalifa, your infrastructure, 60-70% of your real estate in UAE, especially in Dubai, it is being developed by Indian companies. Of course, we are giving investment, 60-70%. Can you believe it? So India said, of course, we are doing huge investment in your real estate. So they said, cool. We are one of the largest contributors, which means UAE is one of the largest contributors in India's foreign investment. So if you look at the list of countries who send money to India, almost consistently since last 20 years, UAE is right at top 3. So UAE said, I'm sending you so much money. India said, I have also started. So that's, that's the hallmark of their friendship. But interesting, the reason I'm doing this in the class is something unique. Now, what did India and UAE do? So our foreign minister, Dr. Jaishankar, he went to UAE and he told UAE exactly in this year 2022, after the COVID, that UAE, we want to sign a deal with you. UAE said that India, I have looked at your average time of deal negotiation. With every country, India takes at least 7 years. Average is 7 years, sometimes 20 years to crack a deal. So for example, when we start talking to some countries, 20 years we keep talking, and after that we say, theek hai, batao. Where is the deal? Let's sign it. 20 years, average is 7 to 8 years. So UAE was saying, India, I have seen your track record. You have started to talk in 2022, you will go until 2030 or maybe 2035, then you will sign the deal, I know it. What did Dr. Jaishankar do? And why am I taking the name? Because actually it was his initiative. He told UAE, no. I want to crack this deal and sign this, finalize it in 3 months only. He said, not possible. Nobody in the world has done that. No two countries have signed a deal in 3 months. He said, let's talk and see what he did. So he told UAE that, UAE, are you sure that you are going to send investment to India? UAE said, sure. I mean, without the deal also, UAE has been sending investment to India. There was no deal, but they started, they kept on sending investment to India. So India said, which means in future also you will do that. So they said, of course, without saying, because we feel India is a profitable market, simple as that. And India is a good friend, we trust you. India said, similarly, we also trust you. Without any deal, India has been also investing in UAE real estate market without any deal. So India said, let's remove this. Look at India now. India said, let's remove the UAE said, what are you saying? Why to remove this? How can you remove investment from SEPA? So India said, we are not removing investment. What we are doing is, when you negotiate a deal, listen to it very carefully, bacho. When you negotiate a deal, deal is like a contract. And in a contract, whenever you use a word, you have to define that word very precisely, and the word has to be defined in such a way that it is acceptable to both the parties. It is compliant to WTO rules. Every detail has to be checked. So India said that the biggest, largest number of pages which are required in a deal between two countries is related to investment. So India looked at the previous deals that India has with other countries. The number of pages that we devoted to investment has been 100 to 200. So India said that again we'll have to write 100 to 200 pages, it will take 2 years. Because every word, the moment you write foreign investment, what is foreign, what is investment? Investment is of how many types, every type has to be defined, every type elaborated in the contract. Full stop, comma, everything is in detail mentioned in the contract, because if contract is breached, the other party will not leave you. So everything has to be chalked out. India said, let's save. So UAE said, I don't understand what you say. India said, simple. Without deal also, you will anyway send investment. Without deal, India will send you investment. That's trust. We are brothers, bro code. So it write it. We can write it in future. We can amend it in future. UAE said, oh, you are saying start without writing based on trust, amend it in future. Of course, yes. So what did India do? Look at this. Remove this. That doesn't mean investment is not happening. That means that there is no commitment about investment, and look at the nature of friendship between these two countries. Without commitment, investment is happening, and they're so happy. That's a unique example in the world. So what it did to us is, it's it saved 5-7 years. Flat 5-7 years saved. Why? No research requires to be done now. So that's one. Now, when goods and services were mentioned, India told UAE, you know, India is becoming digital. UAE said, of course, I know it. So India told UAE that, UAE, you are also very digital. UAE said, of course. So they said, why not go paperless? They said, paperless, what do you mean paperless? So India told UAE that all the permissions, requirements, licenses, approvals from your side. So if there is a company in UAE and that company wants to export to India, so India said, don't go for paperwork, etc. Just make everything digital. Just like we have also created single window clearance, you also do it. UAE said, we have already created it. We created it much before you, India. India said, use it with me. So whenever somebody from India wants to purchase anything from your country, don't ask for files, don't ask for paperwork, just digital permissions, digital reviews, digital audits, everything digital. Which means now it will not be physical, but the entire rules and regulations will be checked and managed digitally. No paperwork at all. This is for the first time that explicitly it is mentioned that there will be no paperwork. It will all be digital. Digital footprints, digital checking, everything. So wow, very nice. So what did we put? We used a nice word called as digital trade. That's one. But then look at India. This is India. So India told UAE that, UAE, there is one glitch, one problem. UAE said, tell me what do you want? So India said very simple that, your digital infrastructure is slightly better developed compared to India. That is true. So because UAE believes in digital economy and they have digitized much before India could. So what did India tell UAE? India told UAE, I think volume. So India told UAE that, UAE, your digital payment system, your digital infrastructure, digital approvals, etc., is slightly more, penetrative and slightly more stronger compared to India. And plus, whenever you trade, export and import, you maintain digital format in a certain way: export, import, balance of payment, exchange rate, all these things. So India said, you have an amazing software which is much better than India's. the software which maintains the data of trade. So India told UAE that UAE, can we use it? UAE said, wait, you are asking for something which belongs to me. I have spent millions of dollars in that software research. You want it from me? India said, no, we don't want the software. In fact, if you don't give us the software, I guarantee you India will develop it in next 5 years. And they know it. That you don't give anything to India, India wants it, India will develop because it's software. Software, we are developing hardware also now. And in software, nobody can challenge us. We take time because we don't have that much of fund. But yes, we do come up with those things. So we told UAE that, see, if you don't give it to us in 5 years, we will again develop it. That's not an issue. If you give it to us, the deal becomes fast. So UAE said, okay, India, I'm going to let you use my patented software, which is the trade software, till the time you want. Absolutely free. He said, wow, that's very nice. So which means the UAE is letting us use their own platform for trade, the software, and India is also putting its own data in that software. Now imagine the trust of India. India is trusting UAE with their data because our data is stored in their servers, and they are trusting us by giving access to their software that we are not going to hack it and we are not going to do any cyber crime or cyber attacks. This is the level of trust. That's called as friendship between two countries, which is almost rare these days. So I'm teaching you this in detail because that will show you foreign policy and IR sometimes goes in a direction which you can't even imagine, that this is the level of friendship and trust that has developed. So that's another point. One beautiful point which India gave to UAE, and this is the last point. So guys, in India, that GEM, Government E-Marketplace. So whenever Government of India has to, this point you should listen very carefully. Government of India has a rule that whenever Government of India has to procure departments or ministries anything, 25% from MSME, remaining 75% from anybody in India. There is one more rule. That one extra rule which we'll discuss here is, whenever Government of India, that thing I taught you, that was previous. Now this is something different. So the rule of Government of India is, very careful, the rule of Government of India is, whenever Government of India, government agencies have to purchase anything whose value is up to 200 crore rupees. Please memorize this part. I'll give a dictation also. Whenever Government of India has to purchase anything whose value is up to 200 crore rupees, the rule in India is that government purchases those items only from Indian companies and preferably MSME. So if I have to purchase steel whose value is up to 200 crore rupees, government says up to 200 crore is very minuscule. So for government, 200 crore is nothing. It's like 10 rupees. So Government of India says, if I have to purchase something up to 200 crore rupees to promote Indian companies, keep listening to it very carefully. We are going to use this point multiple times. And it came in the newspaper 3 days back, 4 days back as well. I have discussed about it in that 40 minutes video which I posted related to preparation of current affairs on Wajiram YouTube channel. There also I have discussed this news. It came 4-5 days back. So what is this? Government of India says, if government if government has to purchase anything whose value is up to 200 crore rupees, Government of India says that I'll purchase it only from Indian companies, preferably MSMEs. If MSMEs are giving, great, all 200 crore belongs to MSME. If MSMEs are not ready to give or they don't have it, then I will purchase from any big Indian company. If big Indian company does not have it, then I will import it. This is the idea. So first preference, MSME. Second, big Indian companies. If nobody, then from across the world. Interestingly, since this rule is being used by the Government of India, everything that government has purchased, government has been able to procure it within India only. There is not even a single example where government is looking for something and we had to import it. So we follow this rule very strictly. Guess what UAE did with us? UAE tinkered India. UAE said, nudged India, and UAC said, hello Government of India, right? So India said, what do you want UAE? So they said one thing. Whenever you procure anything up to 200 crore rupees, so they told us that Government of India, whenever you procure anything up to 200 crore rupees, so do one thing, Government of India, you please invite your MSMEs. Listen to it carefully, please. You invite your MSMEs. If your MSMEs are able to give you these things, then there is no problem. You take it from your MSMEs, no problem. But if your MSMEs are not able to give you the product which you are looking for, and then you are inviting your companies like Tata's, let's say Infosys for software, you are inviting your own companies, A, B, C, D companies of India for procuring this. So MSMEs are not able to give, then you will invite them. So UAE says, invite me also here. I'll be one of the parties. India said, I am not understanding what you are. UAE says simple, treat me like your own company. So government of India said, meaning, so UAE said that if you are suppose inviting MSMEs to purchase steel, good quality steel, but that steel is not available with them. They are saying we can't. So then you will invite Tatas, you will invite another company, Jindals, you will invite all the companies of India. So UAE is saying, invite me also. India said, are you manufacturing steel? UAE said, steel? I am one of the suppliers of copper steel in the world now. UAE is expanding towards manufacturing now. So UAE is saying that since last 5 years I am doing that. So you give me a call and ask me if I can be one of the suppliers. India said, but why should I do the favor? They are saying, no, don't do a favor. Treat me like your own. And then you take offers from all these 4 companies and ask them who can give you better quality steel at lowest price. Quality, price, compare. In that comparison, if we come out at top, give the contract to us. India said, fair. Absolutely fair. So what do you agreed? Now look at the chemistry between these two countries. It's different. It's not trade. Trade time gone. Trade means goods and services. It's gone. This is foreign policy. This is international relations. PSIR that you study. GS paper 2. It is much beyond trade now, because this is not what you do in trade. Did I ever teach you that in trade deals, these are the things that you do? Never. We never do this. That's not trade. So this is amazing trust between each other. So maybe if you ask me that why is UAE doing it, I believe somewhere that UAE is testing the government of India's intent and to what level India wants to go with UAE in future. Because UAE has some big plans for India. If you read newspaper, you would have read it, that UAE plans to launch itself in a big way in space sciences. That's one of the long-term ambitions of UAE. And second ambition of UAE is that UAE wants to become very powerful in terms of manufacturing. UAE says that India is almost awesome in terms of softwares. In digital payment, India has become top-notch. So UAE says India is also bringing a lot of manufacturing on the table. Research and development is happening. So UAE is saying that in space sciences, there cannot be anyone who can beat the price and quality of India. India's launch vehicles, etc. It's almost unbeatable. So UAE says that in field of defense also India is doing really well, and these are the interest areas of UAE. So UAE says since India is developing these things, and UAE knows that if a country starts to put its resources somewhere, in 10-20 years they reach there. So UAE says I have resources, India has demographic dividend. If I start to pump some resources and create some alliance with India, then strategic things that UAE wants to achieve, not related to war, but space sciences, manufacturing. So UAE says, I think it can be a win-win situation for both the countries. So that's the thing which UAE is trying to test. And what is India testing? India is testing whether UAE can be trusted or not. So what did India do? Very smartly, India asked for a software. India asking for a software. Can you believe it? It's a joke. India does not need software from anybody. We could have easily created it. But why did you do that? You said, "Okay, you are my best friend. I have to go for an interview. Can I borrow your shirt?" It happened once, I remember. One of my friend had to do that. So I remember that it was interviews, and I did not have an interview on that day. My friend was so lazy. So what he said, I have an interview today. I said, interview, you didn't tell me about it? Right? We both were appearing in CAT at that time. So, and he was much better scorer he scored very well compared to me in CAT. So his was a better percentile. And he was so chill, relaxed. I think he was from Assam. So he told me that, I have an interview today. I said, which I am? So he said, I am B, Bangalore. I said, you are taking it so lightly. He said, what will I do? So do you want me to jump and dance? I said, no. Can I have your shirt? I said, why? He said, because you wore it last time you got the interview. So he took my shirt, never returned it. So guys, that's what India is doing. So India has just taken the shirt of UAE, right? And India has said that, UAE, can I borrow your software? So if I know even without that he would have qualified. How does it matter? But then that's what friendship is all about. So that's your trade between India and UAE. Now, he's right. Your friend mentioned that yesterday there was a news about UAE's potential 100 billion investment to India. These things keep on happening. And now you know the context that why will it happen more often. So in future, when you see more strategic alliance between India and UAE, don't be surprised. You know the background now. Don't you find it to be very interesting? So now I want to ask you questions. Can you please tell me what is the positive list? Here, positive list. I'll say the things one by one. You tell me if it is included in the positive list or not. Goods, services, investment. Brilliant. It is not. Officially, it is not. Unofficially, 100% yes. But officially in the list, it is not specifically mentioned. What have they mentioned? That we will cooperate on other things also, including investment, but it is not specifically mentioned. But they are investing in each other. Okay, next thing. So, digital trade. Guys, to my online students, digital trade? Of course, yes. And then next is procurement by Government of India's agency and helping the UAE companies get new markets in India. Yes, that is also in the positive list. That's beautiful. What about negative list? Possibility. But has India kept anything in the negative list here? Hardly anything. India has said that as and when I feel, I'll let you know. Which is amazing. This is amazing. Why? Because India does not feel threatened. And plus, India told UAE that, hey, I can create a negative list by putting tea and coffee. UAE said, really? What price will you charge? 1 lakh rupees a kg for tea? I'll pay you. India said, great. I don't need to put anything in the negative list, right? So this is amazing. I mean, this is a weird kind of contract, weird in a positive way, which India has signed with UAE. Now, after all this was happening, one more thing happened here. Just one extra thing happened. Now, India told UAE that, UAE, you know that it's one of the largest producers of medicine in the world. I said, yeah, we know it. So India said, since I have given you access to my public procurement, I want unfettered access. There should be no restriction from your side, 100% access to your market to sell any medicine that India wants. UAE said, of course, yes, subject quality control. India agreed. India said, okay, we won't send you the, but otherwise we'll send you everything, right? So that was a sad joke. Don't write it. So what did India do? India said, I'm going to do what you want, and if to send any medical equipment, any medicine, this is a big thing. I'll complete the statement, then you will realize. So India said, I'll send you cancer drugs, I'll send you generic drugs, I'll send you over-the-counter drugs, whatever medicine India produces, India has got unfettered access in UAE market everywhere. But why is it so unique? Isme kya badi baat hai? What is so big in this? I'll tell you what is big in this. So for example, UAE is a very sensitive economy. What does UAE do? UAE says, if US is very good in manufacturing of cancer drugs, I'll take only cancer drugs from US. India is good in generic drugs, I'll take only generic drugs from India. So UAE says, if you specialize in a medicine, I'll take only that medicine from you as a country. I'm not going to take everything from you. So huge restrictions are put by UAE in suppliers of medicine. They are very sensitive to especially this thing. But they created an exception. They said, India, you are good in everything other than a few medicines. So they said that those medicines which were found to be substandard in the recent audits. So they said that subject to quality India, I am giving you free access to every kind of medicine that you want. Just come in my market and start selling, right? Oh, so I can see, Harshita, from class you have moved online, huh? So, but at least you appeared in the test yesterday. Good. So how is the experience? You let me know. Because normally she attends the lecture offline here, but today online. A lot of reshuffling happening, guys. So online is offline, offline becomes online. You guys are having a gala time, huh? All right. So this medicine part is also a part of, just a second please, which means pharmaceutical, pharma is also in the positive list. So pharma is also in the positive list. So why is it in the positive list? Because UAE said, see, currently I don't have any medicine, in future I might have. That's the intention of UAE. UAE says, I also want to produce medicine, and India, who can be a better partner than you to teach me or to train me in medicine? Amazing kind of chemistry. So that's your India-UAE deal. Looks very simple. It is not simple. It's complicated, but beautiful relationship. Sometimes complicated relationships are beautiful, but not always. Just remember this. Please write.
When there is no official presence terms of investment, how it is called as SAPA? It should be clear.
Because absolutely. That's the answer. So WTO says that I give liberties to the countries on a positive note, in a positive sense. I give liberties to the countries that they can customize the agreements. If they don't violate anything and they are ready to sign a deal, that's not a problem. But the intention was not here to not write it specifically by both the countries. The intention was not to delay the agreement, so they did it. And plus I also told you that they have expressed an intention that in future we are going to formalize it by investing more time in doing the filing work, etc., etc. One more such example we have seen in the past in European Union. We saw that in European Union, monetary union is not complete. Yet WTO calls them as economic monetary union. Why? Because there is a commitment by 7 countries that in future will use euro as national currency, need time to fulfill the requirements. Same funda. Let me read one comment of your friend, then I'll make you right. I have a question about Arab countries, though it is not. Yes, definitely. You can, Pankaj. In TEPA deal, trade happens only with EFTA countries or with European countries. Only with those countries which I named, only with those 4 countries, Manu. And Pankaj, yes, please shoot your question. After the dictation of this part, I'll answer. I'll read it. You please write. Your friend is saying that, can I ask one question outside economics? So, it's okay, fine. Write it. So guys, please write. It's a beautiful example. Beautiful example. Please write India UAE SEPA 2022. Likhe. The positive list contains goods, services, digital trade, public procurement by Government of India, public procurement by Government of India, public procurement by Government of India, medicine and medical equipment, medicine and medical equipment. In the bracket you can write pharma sector. Please put a full stop and then write, change the paragraph please. Let's write a note. Investment between India and UAE, investment between India and UAE is extremely strong, but it is not mentioned in SEPA explicitly, full stop. Implicitly, it is included because of the history of investment, between India and UAE, history of investment between India and UAE. Please put a full stop, guys. Please change the paragraph and write, Government of India has a rule related to procurement whose value is up to rupees 200 crore. Whose value is up to rupees 200 crore. Stop. In these procurements, Government gives priority to MSMEs. Government gives priorities to MSMEs. And other Indian industries. Other Indian industries. But UAE has been given special permission to participate in these procurements. By the government. By the government. Full stop, please. It says, next point is early harvest deal. So please write title. It's a title, early harvest deal. Yes, Pankaj, I can answer that. I'll give you the answer towards the end. Early harvest deal. Please write a question. What is early harvest deal? What is early harvest deal? Give example. Give example. Question number 2. Define a mini trade deal. Define a mini sorry. Define a mini trade deal. What is its relevance? What is its relevance? So what is the relevance of mini trade deals? You might have read in the newspaper, and I can assure you that you will read in the newspaper that India is trying to sign a mini trade deal with this country, that country, etc. It comes very often. So we need to know these two terms, because in the newspaper the clarity is not there, and plus there is always some confusion, because when I read the newspaper articles, I see some journalists writing something else, something else. So technically they are not right all the time. So you should read newspaper, but when we tell you some definitions in the class, you should follow that definition, because journalist would mean that they have a basic idea of everything. It doesn't mean that they will be right all the time. So these two terms are, most of the time I have seen it is misused and not used properly. This you will find in IR also. This you will find in IR also. So let's see what this is. Now to explain this to you, I have one example, which is this. I'll speak for 10 minutes, you'll be able to understand. So let's look at the sequence of these trade deals, guys. To my online students, visible? So see this, cool. So this is the sequence PTF, TS, SR, SEPA, CUS. That's the sequence, we know it. We also know that the strength of the deal increases as we go from left to right. As we go from here to here, the strength is increasing. So there is one thing which India did. I remember that I have taught you in the class when we were studying industries that investment from Korea mostly comes to Tamil Nadu. I remember that we had discussed that point. And I told you that that concept started in India from 2011 onwards, right? So from 2011 onwards, a lot of money is coming from Korea, but it is mostly going to Tamil Nadu, 70%, yes, defense, and remaining part is going in other part, National Industrial Corridor Development Program. Brilliant. Let's have a connection now. So see, when did India sign this deal with Korea? Obviously South Korea, India-Korea SEPA 2009. If you read some online sources, it says 2008, but the actual implementation started from this year only, 2009. So what did India do? India signed a deal called as SEPA, which means India is going to exchange. What will India exchange with South Korea? What has happened? Technology is a problem. So can you please tell me, India, South Korea, SEPA, what will be the positive list, guys? Goods? Services. Very good, Manu. Services, investment, IPR. Goods, services, investment, IPR. Precisely this was mentioned here. So let me show you what actually was mentioned. Very elegant deal was signed by India, amazing deal with Korea. So they put goods, service, investment, and IPR. This is 2009. Now look at India. Around 2018, What did India do? India told Korea that Korea, it's like almost being engaged with you since very long. Time for marriage. So Korea said, what kind of marriage? Right? So India said, we want to sign this with you. Single market. Korea. How can this be an exchange program? Because my people don't need your country. My population is very small. We believe in technology. It's not that we are dying to come there, but you want to come to my country. So India said, no, it's not like that. If you don't agree, it's okay. We can manage with the current deal as well. See what is India doing. India is playing psychological games now. Why? There is a rule. Dekho, simple rule of life. So I'll tell you one very classic example which might be true for you also. So I have a younger sister. So parents used to bring chocolate at home, a big packet of chocolate. And what used to happen was my sister used to grab the chocolate, and she's younger. So of course parents didn't used to say anything to her. I never used to get any bite of the chocolate. So that's called as exploitation, child abuse. So always suffered child abuse at the hand of my parents because chocolate went to the sister itself. That's it, all the time. So once I read a theory of psychology, it says that if you give the right trigger, you get the outcome in your favor without explicitly mentioning it. So what did I do? So this time I thought I'll do an experiment once. So chocolate came to my place, my parents got the chocolate. And I simply told my sister that, you see, the physical built up of you and I, she's younger. I said, it's different. She said, yes. So I said that I can overpower and grab the entire packet of chocolate when the parents are not around, you know it. She said, take a bite. And I got my first bite of chocolate. I just had to give a real credible threat without actually doing any physical harm. I just had to say that if you don't give it, I'll grab the entire packet of chocolate. So what did India do here? So I made a big demand and I gave a credible threat. So it was so credible that it motivated my sister not to listen to the entire demand, but give me this at least. Same thing India here. So what is India doing? India is making its intentions clear around 2018. Because first we did demonetization, 16, 17 we brought GST, and India made an announcement in the world that we are crazy, so we are reformists, we can do anything, right? So we made an announcement to the world that India is ready for big ticket reforms. They're called big ticket reforms. So India said we can do anything, whatever we feel like, this is reform. According to us, that is reform. So all the countries of the world understood that this is different type of mindset which India is having these days. They will take any action, they will do anything. So what did India do? India nudged South Korea and said, hello, South Korea. So can we sign single market? We knew that single market is not possible in South. How can you sign single market all of a sudden? Single market would mean that movement of people will start all of a sudden. There will be a surge in the movement of people. But it needs paperwork, it needs time. And India was rushing. India was saying, no, no, today I want to sign this deal. And we knew the answer. We knew that we want no. Right? So what happened immediately? Immediately South Korea said, bhai, we are not ready. Because imagine South Korea and India's population. South Korea is this, India is this. Karol Bagh metro station, the number of people traveling through Karol Bagh metro station every Sunday is equal to population of South Korea. How can you sign a deal? So we said, we want this. South Korea said, not possible. Because then what will happen is under this deal, you will send a lot of people to my country. We are not ready. And what did India do? India said, no, no, we will not send everybody. We will just send service providers. They said, bilkul bhi nahi, absolutely not. Why? Because if you start to send your doctors, teachers, chartered accountants, all these people, service providers, then what will happen to our population? You will hijack the economy, right? So, didn't go through. And India started to pretend, yeah, it's fine, it's okay, even if you don't give the chocolate, fine, right? This is emotional blackmail. And when India started doing this, what did Korea? Korea felt really bad. Korea said, okay, tell me India, if not this, what else can I do for you? India said, bingo, that's what I want. Immediately India said that Korea, since you are not giving me this, may I know the reason you are not doing this? Korea said, I'm not ready for movement of people. So India said, okay, let's do one thing. Since you are not ready, let's do. But I'll complete the story, don't worry, without this also. So Korea said that I'm ready to do anything but not single market. India said, okay, you are not ready for single market because you are not ready for movement of people, because you feel that there can be something of, let's do an experiment. Let's do a demo. So South Korea said, for demo I am ready. So India said, that's what we want. So what did we tell South Korea? We told South Korea that instead of signing a full-fledged deal called a single market, why don't we include some elements of single market inside this deal only? So goods, what is happening? Color change, etc. Goods, service, investment, IPR. And what did India do? India said that the hallmark of single market is goods, services, investment, IPR and labor force. So India said, let's do one thing. Since you are scared of this, you are not very sure about it, let's take one little bit of labor. This is little bit only. Little bit let's take. Let's take one type of labor force from here. Let's introduce this here, which means LF, labor force double star. Korea said, I'm not understanding what you are doing. India said, experiment, pilot project. So India, for example, when India had to launch direct benefit transfer schemes, what did India do? India selected some payments and said direct benefit transfer, LPG directly in your account. We did an experiment. So India said, let's do an experiment. Let's take some labor force. Korea said, which labor force? Of course, which labor force? So India said, yoga guru and IT professionals. So India said that, Korea, I want to send my yoga gurus and IT professionals to your country without any visa. So give one visa and don't ask to renew the visa for next 3 years. Three years visa free entry. One time visa valid for 3 years. And if everything goes fine, another visa valid for 5 years. This way we said that we are going to extend the visa. So we asked them that, is it fine with you? I mean, it's a very simple country, very sort of innocent country. They agreed. What has India done? Literally, this is single market. I mean, what else is missing here? It's almost a single market. So you have been able to pull a small single market kind of arrangement without calling it as a single market. Immediately WTO was called. We called WTO, hey, see what is happening here. WTO says customization. Just two type of people are moving, so it's fine, totally fine. Customization allowed. Right. Now, WTO and Korea, they asked a question to India, right? India, how is this even possible? It's a very big feature that you are borrowing. So India said that, look at our constitution. Constitution created long time back, almost like 50 years back. Everything almost settled, everything finalized, changes almost stabilized. What did we do in last 50 years? We have changed, amended the constitution so many times that the whole constitution looks new. And that's why we amend constitution. We are used to all this. So India said, if we can amend constitution, we have not left constitution itself. What is this? This is nothing. It's a trade deal. We will amend this also. We are used to all this. So what did India do? India said, this is an amendment to this existing SEPA. And interestingly, WTO has a name for this kind of amendment. India used that clause. So the name of these type of amendments, listen to it carefully. The name of these type of amendments is, whenever you borrow a feature from a higher level deal to a basic deal, this is high level deal, this is small deal. You borrowed a feature. Similarly, when you introduce something drastically new in an existing deal, this is an existing deal, but you introduce something drastically new as a test case, just to test. This kind of amendment is called as early harvest deal. So what did India and Korea do? In the year 2018, India signed early harvest deal within this. So now we have a SEPA with Korea followed by early harvest deal. So now there are deals. But early harvest deal makes sense when you already have this kind of deal. Then it makes more sense to you. That okay, you have insert clause. So tomorrow, if India wants to introduce a third professional here, for example, let's say doctors, then India will have to modify the early harvest deal. We'll have to sign another early harvest deal. Early harvest deal would mean amendment. Every time you change the constitution, amendment. So new amendment has to be done. And that will be called as early harvest deal 2024. So you can have as many early harvest deals as possible. So whenever you are confused, what is early harvest deal, just recall constitution. Suppose there is a bill in the parliament. That bill has become an act. In future you want to change it. So what do? Amendment. Another change, amendment, so many amendments. In the same act, you can have lakhs of amendments. That's not a problem. So you can have as many early harvest deals as possible. This is the beginning of India. Now, what is India doing now? Why is India interested in all these things? Because India wanted to check the market of South Korea in terms of soft power. That okay, this is soft power and this is your IT. In IT, you are almost like, you know, epic, you are the best in the field of IT. So we are sending IT and we are sending yoga gurus. In return, what is Korea sending to us? Taekwondo experts. Korea is sending taekwondo experts to India, and we are sending yoga gurus and IT. Now, when all these things was agreed, India made its last point. India said one request, that under this SEPA plus early harvest deal, India said, whenever I send somebody to your country, make sure South Korea that you do not take income taxes from them. Which means Indian yoga guru will go there, they will perform their business, they will start their business, etc. No income taxes to be paid by them at all for 3 years. And then India told them that you don't take an income tax, we will take it. When they come back to India, we will take income taxes from them. But you don't take it. That's an arrangement. So South Korea also told India that when these taekwondo experts from Korea will come to India, they will earn income, you don't take income taxes from them. We were laughing at this, as if they are going to earn income in India. We won't let them do it. Here, that's your picture. I have taken some real pictures from the deal itself, so I have kept it. So, look who looks more innocent. Right, so that's your picture. I'm not saying anything, I'm just showing pictures. Now, that's called your taekwondo. This is how Korea was before they met India. Sometimes we meet new people in life and we change drastically. See what we did to them. They were this, high flying, super kicks, brilliant. Then this happened to them. And then what happened? Finally, this happened. And the ticket price of all this is 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees per hour. That's the money that we are earning there. And that is what we have done to them successfully. Done to them. So from here, brought them here. That's called soft power. Soft power can do anything, I'm telling you this. And Korea is very happy that we are learning spirituality. Kudos to you. Right? So, very innocent country. So guys, sometimes, let's not read too much into it. I'm just trying to show you on the lighter side that what are the things that can happen to you when you allow anybody from any country to come. So that's why you don't see so many top yoga gurus in India these days in the mainstream media, because they are busy somewhere else, spreading India's soft power different way. Right? Achha, when they come back to India also, they don't pay much income taxes. Why? Because they are on national duty. They are promoting soft power. So I'm telling you, one of the good professions, I'm not saying a profession, don't take me like that. But maybe I'm talking about myself in future. You might see me something like this in future. So it's a very good profession, I'm telling you this, a very good thing. Because Ministry of External Affairs is also using them as instruments of foreign policy. Don't write this in your answer. PSIR. So you don't write it. PSIR, instrument of foreign policy, yoga. So but these things are happening around us, guys, and we know the reason, soft power. So that's your India and SEPA. So now if somebody will ask you a question, Fadafat, please tell me the answer in yes and no. There is no minimum qualification. So minimum as in, there is no minimum qualification for amendment. Why will there be a minimum qualification? Now minimum qualification is both the parties have to agree. Now guys, point number 1, we'll write this, but just give me 5 seconds, answer question, then we will write. So I'm making a statement that early harvest deal is signed between countries to introduce, sometimes to introduce new elements in the existing deal. Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. Number 2, early harvest deal can be signed between 2 countries to introduce the features of high level deal in a basic deal. Yes or no? Yes. Third statement. Let me show you the picture and then you can answer that question. So early harvest deal might be signed between 2 countries to test if they are ready to move to a better deal in future or not. Yes or no? Yes. These are precisely the 3 reasons. So if somebody will ask you what is early harvest deal, I'll dictate this to you. You just have to write these 3 points. However, there is one glitch there. The glitch is that most of the time you will see early harvest deal when the 2 countries agree that yes, you give me this, I'll give you this, then let us sign early harvest. Early harvest deal makes you stronger to be ready for future. But what if you don't agree on anything? Like I'm telling you that, hey, let's sign a deal called as, this is very important. So India has been telling UK, I'll give an example of India UK and I'll give the example of India US because you will see this in newspaper in next 3 months. I promise you this. Now there is a talk between India and UK and India and US. They both want to sign something called as FTA. So they want to sign either FTA or SEPA. That's the talk. And similarly, India, EU, European Union. Similarly, currently it came in the newspaper yesterday only, India, Maldives. They want to sign FTA or SEPA. This is the request by both these countries that let's sign. All these four countries, they are planning to sign SEPA. But what is the problem? So problem is that UK tells India that India don't send a lot of services. Because if you send a lot of services, my economy will be destroyed. So India says that if I don't send services, what will I send? So tussle is happening between them. Similarly, India is saying, I need access to your market. I want to send as many medicines as possible. UK says, let me send medical equipments to your country. India says, nah. Those medical equipments we are buying from Germany, we can't change it. We have a deal. Again, there is a problem. So similarly, we have a problem with USA because we are telling USA that USA, we will send our goods, services, etc. to your country. USA says, Tika, we are ready to sign the deal. Just make sure that you mention something that Harley Davidson bike, big automobile, you will bring in your country with zero tariff. India said, no, we won't. Why? Because the Harley Davidson, the quality they are providing is very costly, and India is saying that when we are bringing the similar kind of items from other countries, the vehicles, it costs us less. So India said, why should we give it? Because you are overcharging and you are not ready to reduce the price. And yes, you are saying that if Harley Davidson bike comes to India, you don't tax anything, you don't put any tariffs. So we are saying that we will not put tariff, but you reduce the price at least. Why are you overcharging? So USA said, no, we will overcharge. And then USA is also saying that if you sign a deal with us, we will force you to buy all medical equipments from USA. Where is written that under trade deal you force each other? These are the points of controversy between India and US and India and UK. India and Maldives, there is no controversy as such currently. India, European Union, there is a controversy because Germany is creating problem. Because Germany is under the influence of China. These are the problems. What is the jugaad by India? I'll tell you what India. The country should disagree. The moment you accept the agreement of the another country, the objections they are having, then you try to find common ground. Let's find a common ground. Let's start from there. UK is saying what common ground? So saying that I will send you rice, wheat, cereals. I will send you mobile phone and laptop. Okay, India says okay, done. I will also send you medical equipments. India says common ground. UK says I send you toys, and we know that toys are coming from China. Said okay. So what did India do? India also agreed for things, UK also things. Which means commonalities are being created. 4 items from India, 4 items, just 4 items. Why? Because they want to test if they can agree and together in terms of a trade deal with as limited of items as 4 or 5. 4 or 5 items are putting, it is not any trade deal. It is not a trade deal. Because how a trade deal have 5 items? Because the cost of signing a trade is more than the benefit. So India is telling UK that let's sign a deal where you agree on the items, I will agree on 2 things. Let's begin. It's like saying, hello friend, how are you? After that, if the friend hangs up the phone, then over. So that signing of the agreement, which is not having any kind of features of PTA, FTA, no features are there. Because you need to have a positive list, you need to have some 506 items, but it's not there. So when you agree for this, don't agree for any of these, before it, what you do, you sign something called as a mini trade deal. So what's a mini trade deal? So mini trade deal is like a warm-up exercise where the number of disagreements are more than agreements. So here is agreements. I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I want only one thing. So only 1 or 2 things they will agree, which is not a deal. In deal, how can you write in positive list 1 item or 2? It's not possible. So doing here, like for example, India Mercosur has PTA. How many items are there currently? 4,000. 4,000 items are there. That's PTA. How can you write 2 items and say it is PTA? It is not possible. And you don't agree on anything. You don't even agree to cooperate. So what do? You just make a start by saying, let's test future this is possible. How do you test? Put 2 items from both the sides, 3 items from both the sides and start the deal. That's your mini trade deal. So mini trade deal is not signed here. Mini trade deal is signed before this. So what comes before this? It is mini trade deal. But there is a problem. I have seen some of the articles and some of the books mentioning that before TA also early harvest deal can be signed. You can say that, but technically where do you sign early harvest deal? I'll tell you. What did I tell you? Early harvest deal is signed and you are not sure about it, but you have more agreements. So you already have a PTA. You want to make it stronger. Sign early harvest. Early harvest means amendment. Harvest deal with the word amendment. Let's see where to put it. So where can you do the amendment when the act already exists? So this is an act amendment, ESD. Here also you can sign ESD, early harvest deal. Here also, here also, here also, here also. You sign mini trade deal before PTA. How can you sign trade deal in between them? Because I told more of disagreements. So if you already have, then you have amendment. Then how can you mini trade deal? Mini trade deal has to be here. What can you do? Early harvesting. So mini trade deal is before this, and early harvest along with any of these. That's the trick. Is it okay? This type of are asked in UPSC. So has India signed a mini trade deal so far? No. Is India planning to sign yes with UK? India is planning to sign a mini trade deal with UK. As far as I know, UK, USA, European Union, we have proposed deals. There was one president of USA who was not signing any deal with India. At that time, we proposed mini deal. Donald. So he said, I don't want to sign any deal with India. So India said, mini trade deal. He did not understand. He said, yes, we are ready with mini trade. He said, good. Right. So at that time only I had heard long time, 2007, if I am not wrong. In 2017, that proposed to 17-18, India has this to Mr. Donald Trump, and he said, I am okay with mini trade deal. Started mini, India said. But then he was not there in the office. And I'll tell you what happened when the new president came, Mr. Joe Biden came. So that mini trade deal file which was on his table, he threw the file in the dustbin. And he said, I don't care which country's name is this, I don't know, thing done by Trump, I'm going to put it in trash. And that Indian file went in trash. And after that, it never came out. So sometimes what happens, instead of looking at the file and the legislative case, what you are powered by emotions. That time you do more harm. So India was very tough. India said, it's almost 4 or 5 years of hard work that we were about to back a mini trade deal, you put that in the trash without even seeing what was there. So Indian officials were not happy. Right. So of course, all these trade deals are within the purview of WTO. I already told you the articles, Article 5 and Article 23. All these are inside WTO. What is the aim of WTO? To promote trade. So how can WTO be trade? Please write. Likhe, early harvest deal is signed between countries for the following reasons. Number one, to make the current deal stronger. To make the current deal stronger. To make the current deal stronger. Two, to introduce the feature of a high order basic deal. In a basic deal. Third, to test if the countries are ready to sign a better deal in future. So guys, I suggest that if in GS paper 3 this question is asked, please write this answer only. You know, IR you can write, but for GS paper 3, don't change the answer. Change the paragraph, please. Example, India and Korea signed SEPA. India and Korea signed, which was upgraded early harvest, which was upgraded using the harvest deal. by adding extra features, like inclusion of extremely limited movement of labor force using minimum paperwork. Now please give a title, guys. Mini trade deal. Please write. When countries want to sign trade agreement, but because of lack of understanding related to possessed, they sometimes sign mini trade deals in order to start the foundation for a proper trade agreement in future. But one small announcement after completing today's session, because see what is written, content for answer writing. And whatever we are doing since morning also, it is a content for answer writing. Of course, it's a deeper content. Why did we study that content which we did since morning 7:30? Reason being that you will see these things in the newspaper in next 6 months. And when you see these casual words, India is planning for a mini trade deal, you will understand, Achha, this trade deal, early harvest deal, you will understand this. You don't need anybody's help now in future. Now, this is a solid content for answer writing which we are going to do. So the announcement is that in coming weeks, let's say this week and next week, any day, I'm going to tell you in the class, when you come in the class at 7:30 itself, that I'll give you 10 minutes to write one answer related to these parts. So in the class only we'll do it. We will not have any separate class for it in the first 10 minutes of the class. So which means that whatever I'm going to teach you today, you need to be prepared with that for next 2 weeks. And if you have joined the course today itself, no problem, you have 2 weeks to prepare. So any day randomly when I come in the class, first 10 minutes test. This will happen. And the question can be anything, either a separate question which I am going to teach or a combination of questions. You need to be ready with these topics. Dekho, you are my student, so at least you have to do one thing, because I'll feel very proud of you if you do this. The moment we complete a topic, you be so ready that on any random occasion, if somebody asks you a question, you should be ready with a perfect answer. That should be your level of preparation. And the level of preparation should be such that once the course is about to be over, you don't even need a revision for that. That should be your level of preparation. Because imagine you getting off a heavy subject like economics off your head, and imagine how much time you will have left to practice other subjects, because now you don't need to look at economics at all. Your answer writing is also done, economics is done, current affairs is done, especially related to economics part. Your life will become so smooth, but only under one condition, that you update yourself on a daily basis on what we are doing in the class. So before you go to your bed, every day, make a habit that, for example, after the class, you spend the time in studying other subjects, but while you go to bed, half an hour you should revise what we have done. I think this should be good enough. I assure you, if you follow this formula, you will not have any pressure related to economics, or in fact, many things that we are going to do along with economics, like agriculture, some social issues. You will not have any pressure at all. But don't spend the whole day in economics. What we are doing in the class, and then bedtime half an hour, and that's it. And have confidence, I'm telling you, this formula works. Fine. So let's do, yes? That will be called early harvest deal. If two countries in many trade deals, so let's say for example India has, let's say 15, 16 trade deals. So you are saying that if India wants to make changes in one of the trade deals. Acha, mini trade deal already. It can be called as early harvest trade deal. Yes, because the very fact that you have included the word trade deal in mini trade deal, hence early harvest deal is also applicable there. And that reminds me, did you get a handout? Did you see the last page of the handout? I forgot to tell you about it. To my online students, I uploaded one handout yesterday itself. Can I have that one? Thank you. Which is handout number 4. And which Korea did we discuss? North Korea, South Korea? Thank you so much. So guys, I have given you the answer framework. Please keep it with you. And I strongly suggest that you make these kind of frameworks for GS paper 2 also, 1 also. It really helps. Imagine you have a file full of these kind of answers for GS 1, 2, 3, 4. What an amazing and smooth journey you will have in UPSC. So create these kind of answers, guys. It really helps. Now come to page number 4 and 5. See, something is there. Page number 4 and 5. You have a list of all the trade deals of India. The number of members are also mentioned. And the technical name of deal is also mentioned. Name of members are also mentioned. Do you need to memorize this for prelims? Absolutely, without asking. You have to memorize this entire table. If you want very good marks in prelims, anything from here can be asked. So that guarantee nobody can take what will be asked, but at least this list is complete. And I have seen UPSC asking 4 options from here, and they will tell you which of the following is a trade deal which is still in force. So you will have to memorize the trade deals. I have also seen a question in UPSC, 2 questions I have seen where they have mentioned this is the trade deal with India. Right, this is the trade deal with India. Tell which of the following are the members of the trade deal. Then they will write all these members. Okay? So let's see what have we mentioned. Let me see. India, South Korea. You can see there is, I have also mentioned this India European Free Trade Association. It's mentioned. Page number 4. From the bottom you can see India, Australia, India, Europe, India, South Korea. All these things are mentioned. Right? Whatever we have done. And then on the back page, you can see India has signed 6 limited PTAs. See? So there are some PTAs which India has signed. So it is also mentioned. Just memorize the names. You don't have to get into the detail of everything. If you have PSI or optional where you are doing the details, then you need to do the details. But for GS part, just to save your time, list has to be memorized. That's good enough. Right, this is where we draw the line. Now imagine a student saying, no, I want to study all these, trade deals separately for 1 hour each. Destruction of career. We can study, but at what cost? Cost of career. We will never do that. So are limited PTAs mini trade deals? No. Limited PTAs are not mini trade deals. Mini trade deals are signed when countries don't agree to sign a PTA. Then mini trade deals are signed. Mini trade deal is a precursor to PTA. It's signed before PTA. All right, guys. So let's do this. There is a bigger fish to fry here. There is something big. This one. Get over mini trade deals. Its importance was only for 5 minutes. Don't give more importance to those kind of things who don't deserve it. That's more important. That's you. Trade in open economy. Please write. Give a title, please. Trade in open economy. Typical exam type of point. Favorite of UPSC. Trade in open economy. Trade in open economy. And let me give you one happy news. This is also the beginning of balance of payments. This is from where the balance of payment also begins. There is a connection of balance of payment, which means that if you haven't attended my lecture before also in last 4-5 days, you have not missed anything because this is something different. Even if you start to listen to me now also, you will understand. So this is how balance of payment starts. So there is a connection between trade and balance of payment. This is that connection. So it says trade in open economy. So guys, whenever you talk about open economy, I want it from my students because I have discussed this. Can you please tell me what is open economy? Everybody has to answer. Hold on. I will ask the question by pointing out who will answer. So first answer has to be given by Manu. You will give me the answer. You please type it. That what do you mean by open economy? Express one feature of open economy, please. And to you guys, you will tell me one feature. One only. Open economy. Export. Correct. Export.
equal to trade dispute can be greater than zero.
बस सही है. Don't over speak. You are right. उसके बाद you will be wrong. I understood your emotion. He was going in the wrong direction. So Manu, absolutely brilliant. So see, one of your friend, online friend, I have asked him about what is open economy. He said barriers are not there. Trade barriers are almost nil. Absolutely. And your friend here said that export will be greater than zero, because I asked him only one thing, so export. Can you tell me the other one? Export is greater than zero. What about imports in open economy? Will we have imports or ban on imports? Imports will be there, 100% yes. So your friend is saying that in open economy, he said export will be there. Your friend offline said imports will also be there. Your online friend said that yes, barriers will be either zero or so close to zero that we can call it as zero. Minimum barriers. So that's an open economy. बहुत बढ़िया, very nice. So now see what is mentioned. It says trade in open economy. So when you trade in open economy, which means India is an open economy, when India participates in trade, what are the approaches that India adopts? Because we are an open economy. Absolutely, Rajan, correct. We are an open economy. What is the nature of India's trade that we adopt being an open economy? Two type of things. Absolutely correct. Yes, we adopt, very nice. We adopt two kinds. You remember yesterday's lesson. We adopt two kinds of approaches being open economy. So an open economy can practice free trade. An open economy can also practice trade protectionism. Now, which means, listen to me carefully. So, for example, let's say that I'm a person who believes in almost like no restrictions, nothing. I'm very open. I can meet anybody. I can talk to anybody. But does that mean that I'll keep the main door of my house always open? If suppose no. Because imagine that inside my house I have kept some valuable things, or let's say some documents are there which I don't want to make it to public. I want to keep it. So for example, let's say I'm preparing examination questions of some university exam. So do you believe that I'll post it on Instagram, I'll post it everywhere, I'll keep my doors open and say, come take the paper? No, I can't. That's not NEET exam. That paper can be made public to everyone before the exam itself. I can't do that. I have to be careful. So in many cases what we do is we become slightly protectionist, not because we are hurting anybody, but sometimes we become protectionist because we feel that it is required. Similarly, it can be opposite also. So sometimes we become protectionist because we have to hurt someone. And we will tell them that, hey, don't enter my house, I'm banning you from entering, even though that person is not at fault, right? So you keep talking to somebody, one day you block the number, and the person keeps on asking, why did you block my number? You will say just like that. That's not good, you're hurting somebody, right? But if you block everybody's number and throw away your phone, you are not hurting anyone, you're protecting yourself because you're preparing for UPSC, you don't have time. So either you block everybody's number, then it's fine. W2 will say no problem. But if you block one number, and that's your best friend, you're understanding, right? That's the problem. Right? He's very innocent, he's smiling, old memories. Right? So guys, there are two types of protection. Guys, mind it, please keep it in mind. There are two types of protection. One, where you hurt somebody deliberately by pointing, I'm going to hurt you. And second, when you protect yourself by saying, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm just cutting myself off for some time. So, whenever there is a country which is open economy means this country believes in export greater than zero, import greater than zero. These are the only two things that we will write. Now, this type of country can have zero trade barrier and laissez-faire. What is laissez-faire? Means minimum or no government interference, which is government of India will say that I will not interfere too much. You are a producer of the pen, you decide the color of the pen. You want to sell this pen, you decide. You don't want to sell the pen, you decide. I'm not going to trouble you, I'm not going to torture you. Just make sure that you put the MRP and you don't hurt anybody during trade. Don't use toxic chemicals, that's it. But I'm not going to tell you what color should be there, what size of the pen, etc. No, you are free to choose. So, an economy which is open economy can practice free trade. How do they practice free trade? Yes, yesterday example. Free trade, first, trade barrier is close to zero, which means that tariff barrier and non-tariff barrier is close to zero. And second, laissez-faire. What is laissez-faire? Which means that the government interference is as minimum as possible or no interference. These two things. Or an open economy is also like this. What is this? First, use trade barrier to restrict trade. An open, yesterday, your friend is saying, yesterday you gave an example of Canada. So an open economy can also be like that for example, there are some kids in the house and I want to protect them. Of course, I will put restrictions on who can enter my house. You can't just come and trouble my kids. So I'll make sure that those people whom I feel can threaten the kids, I won't let them enter. Like you kids, if I feel that some topic can threaten you, can trouble you, what are we going to do? We will not do that topic immediately. First, we'll build our base. And once our base is strong, we will do those topics. So what are we going to do? Sometimes we feel that this type of presence requires some protection in the economy. Who are these? These are kids. Kids would mean very new industries, new factories, absolutely new business. Or somebody is very vulnerable in the economy, like those who are in the dairy farming, those who are in the poultry, animal rearing. Why the farmers in animal rearing are almost like very vulnerable? Because I told you a figure, 89.4% of the farmers in India are small and marginal, small farmers. What is the alternate source of livelihood for them? Poultry, dairy, animal rearing. Now imagine these kind of activities. Now imagine their agriculture is not doing well, and now they are doing animal rearing and poultry. And when India opens the market, every country in the world, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, they start to flood our market with dairy products and meat products. What will happen to our 89.4% farmers who are into these kind of businesses in India? Vulnerable, they'll be wiped out. So that's why India says, no boss, I'm not going to let you enter my economy and hurt my farmers, agriculture, because anyway 89.4% farmers in India are small and marginal. How can I open my economy just like that? I have to be careful. When India says this, WTO will call India and say, what have you done? Are you hurting Australia? Are you hurting New Zealand? India says, Australia and New Zealand, how do they matter to me? I'm hurting anybody who tries to hurt me, which means we are creating a boundary and saying, do not enter in the field of agriculture and animal rearing in India beyond a certain limit. So when WTO says, are you hurting a particular country? We tell, no, we are not hurting. We are protecting ourselves. There is a difference. When you hurt somebody, that's trade war. When you protect yourself, you have to prove it that I am protecting myself. So India gives this number, India gives the data, India gives the survey data that, okay, these are the farmers whose livelihood is at stake. Roughly around 8 to 10 crore farmers are there like that who are vulnerable. So India gives the data, sorry, we can't remove it. We will use it for next few years. WTO says, for how long will you use it? India gives a timeline. India says, we are going to protect ourselves, our farmers, for next 15 years. Then WTO says, okay, this is valid because you have a timeline, statistically and mathematically you have proved that, okay, this is not against anybody, and we know that the number of deaths in this country in the farming community is also very high. Farmer suicides are there. And who are the farmers who do suicides? We tell them that these are the farmers who do suicide. So through this we are able to save ourselves. Similarly, we are giving minimum support prices to the farmers. WTO says barrier. This is not good because you are giving support to your farmers. Other countries are not giving support. Your farmers are better. So others won't be able to enter your economy. They won't be able to compete with you. So India says, no, we are not giving this MSP to increase our export. We are giving MSP to save our livelihood, life of the farmers. So this is a debate which is going on in WTO currently. WTO, I will teach you these things when I teach you agriculture. So WTO says MSP very bad. India says, look at my intention. Don't look at MSP. My intention is different. So that is one of the reasons that India has not been banned so far. Because if our intentions were not right, I am telling you that these developed countries, G7, at least G7 country would have made sure, or G5 to guaranteed, they would have made sure that we are banned. But so far we have not been banned. Discussion is going on because intention wise, India is showing that every year 4,000 farmers suicide, 3,000 suicide. How can we not give MSP? This is India's logic. Whether it is right or wrong, we examine that in agriculture. So guys, whenever there is an open economy, many a times the open economy also indulges in protectionism, but you have to prove your intention that are you protecting yourself against a particular country or are you trying to protect yourself in general? If it is against a particular country, you have to prove it that that country is trying to hurt you. Then your protectionism is legitimate. So whenever you see the word protectionism, it is not always bad. Sometimes you are trying to protect in a very positive way. WTO also says it is good. But when you are trying to harm somebody, hurt somebody under the guise of protectionism, that's not good. So let us examine those cases where protectionism can be good or protectionism can be bad. This is a debate which can be asked. Why? Because all these things are used so much by the world today. It's a complex theory. Let's simplify it one by one. So guys, look at this please. I'll give you a dictation on this first. So if somebody will ask you, beta, tell us, if there is an open economy and they are indulging into trade, in how many types or how many different ways they can trade in the global scenario. So an open economy can trade in two ways. One is free trade and second is trade protectionism. Free trade, how will you define free trade here? First, barrier is almost close to zero, and second is laissez-faire. So that is second. Now what is protectionism? Protectionism would mean that a country uses trade barrier to restrict trade, and second, there are various ways in which barriers are created. So these two things are there. First, a country uses barriers, and the second is barriers are created with different intentions. This is what we will write here, and we will examine which intention. Let's write that in an open economy. देखिए बच्चों, please write, keep writing. This is important for a mains exam. In an open economy, keep writing बच्चों. In an open economy, trade can take place in two ways. Trade can take place in two ways. Number one, free trade. Please write that under free trade, the trade barriers are minimized. The trade barriers are minimized. And there is no or minimum government interference. And there is no or minimum government interference. In the bracket, please write laissez-faire. There is no or minimum government interference. Full stop, please. Now, second point, please write. So first we have written free trade. Second, trade protectionism. Please write. Under it, the countries use trade protectionism. Under it, the countries use trade barrier to restrict trade. Now change the paragraph, please. Bacho, I have taught you something. What are the two types of trade barriers? Tariff and? Brilliant. So please write, change the paragraph and write trade barriers. Very good. Trade barriers are of two types. How can you restrict trade? Okay. Trade barrier is of two types. One, tariff barrier. Now, tariff barrier is your title. Put a dash after tariff barrier like this, and please write tariff barrier can be created. In the form of number A, import tariff, and number B, export tariff. I will explain this, don't worry. Import tariff, and number B, export tariff. Now let me explain this to you guys. See, what are we studying, guys? Please guide me. I want to write it based on what you tell me. You please participate now. So can you please tell me what are we studying? Trade in which economy? Open or closed? Open economy. Trade in open economy. Now how shall I divide it into two parts? Free trade, which means open economy can either be absolutely free from all controls, right? Free, or second could be trade protectionism. So second is trade protectionism. Now, what do you mean by free trade? Can you please tell me two things about it? Trade barriers are close to zero. And second, what do I write? Laissez-faire. So laissez-faire, which means government interference is not there or it's very minimum. Brilliant. You put this structure in your mind. It will help you in the exam. Now, what do you put here? What do you mean by trade protectionism? What do countries use to protect themselves? Trade barriers. Brilliant. So it is called trade barriers. Trade barriers are used to protect. Now, what are the two types of trade barriers we have already studied? First is, very nice. These are the kind of diagrams that you should have in your notebook. So, tariff and non-tariff barriers. Right, in fact, you should draw this. Yeah. It is? No. Positive list and negative list is a part of trade agreements, various agreements. So we are not discussing agreement. Agreement is gone. So agreement would mean that when two countries are signing bilateral thing, and here we are discussing global scenarios. That is micro, this is macro. Okay. So I think you should draw this. You please draw this in your notebook, and once you are done, final shape takes place, then I'll ask you to write it in your data book also. You please draw this like this. Without explanation, just keep drawing the structure. Freehand drawing, huh? Normal. Now, see how it will help you. So, for example, here we started with this. So, this is called as tariff barrier. I told you two types of tariff barrier. What are the two types? Export, import. So, first we will write export, and second we will write import tariff barrier. So, export tariff barrier, import tariff barrier. Export and import tariff barrier. You just create this flowchart, one memory chart, it's good for you. Then we will copy it in our data book with some details. The final form will copy in the data book. Now in non-tariff barrier, we'll see in some time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, we'll write it there. But this is how you create it. Why, what is the meaning of export tariff barrier and import tariff barrier? So to give you an example about what is the meaning of these two, I have created this example for you. See. You will understand this in 1 minute. See this, guys. Now, that's USA. That's USA and that's China. Let me tell you very briefly about what is happening in USA and China. So now this is the year 2017, 18 and 19. In these 3 years, we experienced something very different. What happened is, listen to it very, very carefully, guys. What used to happen was, in China, steel was being manufactured. Now, suppose that the cost of manufacturing of steel is rupees 6,000, cost of manufacturing of steel. Now the companies who are manufacturing steel in China, they wanted to take a profit of 4,000. So their cost is 6, they wanted a profit of 4,000. So 6 plus 4,000 is profit and this is cost. So which means that they would send the steel at 10,000 rupees per kg. I'm using rupee just to understand. So 10,000 rupee per kg. This would be the price of the steel. Now, what did the government of China do? Government of China realized that, and this is a true thing, that around 2017, 18, 19, there was a global slowdown also. Many countries started to suffer inflation problem, trade was not happening, and everybody was suffering. What happened in China? China overproduced steel. Overproduction. This is the case in China all the time. They overproduce. So around 2017, overproduction of steel was there, and the world was going through a slowdown phase, so nobody wanted to buy steel. Because when there is slowdown, no, most people become conservative and they say, no, we'll reduce the steel consumption. So what did the government of China do? Government of China said, let us do something interesting so as to, export steel little more. So what did they do? The government of China told this factory who was producing the steel, that factory, don't worry about this 4,000 rupees. I'll give you some coupons related to it. They said, coupon? So this factory said, yeah. So how will you give coupons? So the government of China said that, see, you have to pay electricity bill. You have to pay so many taxes, etc. I'll give you a refund. Tax refund, no electricity bill, no water bill. So we will make sure that the refund will be designed in such a way that this 4,000 rupees, whatever you are planning to have the profit, equivalent of that, you will save in the form of refunds from the government of China. I said, wow. So directly they are not doing any subsidy kind of it. Directly it is not visible. Indirectly they said we will design the refunds and the subsidies in such a way that this is the exact amount of refund and subsidy that you are going to get in your pocket. Without raising eyebrows in the world, nobody will understand what we are doing and your job will also be done. So this factory said, so government, what am I supposed to do in return? So government said, simple bit, you already got 4,000. From the government of China, you already got it. Which means now you send the steel, sell the steel only for 6,000 rupees. They said, done. So what did they do? They started to sell the steel to USA. They said, USA, steel price only 6,000. USA is one of the largest buyer of steel. USA said, yeah, we are ready, send the steel. When this news is spread in USA that 6,000 rupees steel, so what happened? The local steel suppliers finished. They can't compete. Then they started to do a calculation. They said, how is it even possible? It is not possible that you can sell something at cost of production, etc. Something is fishy. And then they started to check the cost of production and they realized that something is going on in this country. Why am I saying something? Because China never releases the data. You will never come to know what is happening. Try doing it. Either you will vanish from China's surface, or you will stop asking questions altogether forever. Something will happen to you if you start asking too many questions about China. China doesn't prefer it. China doesn't like it. So China said, USA started to say, I know something is happening. China said, prove it. USA said, that I can't prove because I don't have the data. I couldn't prove virus. I couldn't prove COVID in your lab. What else will I prove? But everybody knows. So USA was constantly telling China that something is wrong. China said nothing is wrong. USA said, theek hai. Then I'm putting a 28% tariff over your steel. Which means now every time steel will come in China, USA said, according to USA said we have an information, according to our calculation, roughly 28%, whatever is the price, 28% is the amount of subsidy that you guys are giving. So USA said, I'm going to put an extra tariff of 28% so that this part is also added. So when Chinese steel came to USA for 6,000 rupees, USA added 28% to it. And according to US, that 28% when added becomes the normal price of the steel. So if you are a US citizen, if Chinese steel is coming for 6,000 rupees, you have to pay 6,000 plus 28%. So for US citizen, the price increased. And if the price increased, would the US citizen prefer Chinese steel? No. So what is this tariff called as? Import tariff. Because who put it? USA put it. So when an importing country puts the tariff, it is called import tariff. Immediately China started to tell USA, you are using import tariff as a trade barrier, tariff barrier. So USA said, no, this is not a barrier according to me. I am not creating it to hurt you. I am creating it because according to us, you have given the subsidy. China said, prove it. USA said, our calculation says it. No, they started to fight over it. And then China said, I'll take you to WTO. USA said, chalo, let's go to WTO. And you know who is the boss of WTO. We want you to come to WTO, China. Let's go there. Immediately China said, no, we are not going to WTO, but we don't like you. Right? So these things have, this drama happened. And guess who was giving support to USA at that time? Japan. Japan was telling USA that USA, good, go against China because China is hurting me also by doing all these activities. Australia also joined. Australia said, yes, USA, don't leave China because every time I say something, China bans me. Yeah, India was enjoying. India was saying, well done. Kudos, keep it up. Right? USA said, India, are you on my side? India said, yes, I'm on your side. So then automatically USA would support India and USA would say that India, you send your steel. India started to send steel. India's normal cost of production is very low, normally. So India started to send great quality steel at low price. USA said, this is also bad. Because how can you send such good quality steel at low price? They put a tariff against us also. And we started to ask them a question, what have you done? We are your friend. So USA said, yeah, that's the price you pay for being my friend. Right? Pankaj, understanding these things. Why did USA put an import tariff against India? I'll tell you. The reason is bizarre. I mean, you won't even believe this. So Mr. Donald Trump was the president at that time. You know what phone call he made to India? One phone call was made by him where he made a request to the Prime Minister that I want two things from India. First, he said, I will export Harley Davidson bike without signing any agreement with no FTA, nothing. He said, don't take any taxes on the Harley Davidson bike. So if you import the bike, put zero taxes. India said, how is it possible? Because whenever you import something, what do you put? You put custom duties, you put GST also. So India said, I will put taxes. But he said, no, put zero taxes, zero. We said, it's not possible. Then the second request by USA was, don't buy medical equipment from Germany, buy it from USA, even if features are less, and do not put any taxes over it. India said, impossible. And what did India do at that time? India said, chalo, let's sign an FTA, free trade agreement. USA said, I'm not ready for the agreement. India said, then we will put a tax. And what was the reaction of USA? When India did not give tax-free entry to bike and medical equipment, the reaction of USA was, the same tariff which it put against China, it put against India also. But the rate was different. Against India, they put a rate of 20%. Against China, they put a rate of 28%. Which means, what China was doing was wrong because China was giving subsidy and help to its producers. India was not doing this. So what was happening between China and USA somewhere justified. But what happened to India, Yes, you're right. Your friend Priyank is saying Donald Trump publicly started to criticize India for bike and medical equipment. He's right. He was doing rallies in Colombia, and here he was saying, Mr. Donald Trump, he was saying that, well, India is not a good place to do business. Why? Because they don't prefer these bikes called as, Harley Davidson, but they have no taste for bike, etc. So he started to rant it in public that India has no taste for Harley Davidson, as if Harley Davidson is the most important thing in the world for survival. Unbelievable. Priorities, man, priorities. I mean, this is amazing. And for that, India was punished severely. Now come back, please. So what happened to India? So China and USA, I somewhere understand that, okay, it's fine. But why India? So at that time, they said that India is a direct party to trade war, which means what was happening, it's very interesting. What USA was doing against China was not trade war. You want to call it trade war, but USA said it's not trade war. Why? Because first it was started by China. So they're saying, this is what China is doing, this is my way to protect myself. So how can you call it trade war? But then what you are doing against India is a trade war, because what did India do to you? India has done nothing to you and you are hurting India. 20% tariff, why? That was trade war. So for the first time, India became a direct party of trade war. Why? Not actively but passively, because we were subjected to it. We became the victim of trade war. This is also called as trade war, because China is hurting USA, USA is hurting China. And I taught you this definition. When two countries hurt each other deliberately to create problems, that is trade war. But USA kept on saying this is not trade war because I am not doing something against China. First China is doing, I am retaliating. But WTO said this is trade war. WTO made a statement and said this is trade war because both are hurting. And WTO was very silent on India. And India was constantly, what are you saying WTO? What about me? WTO said, we'll see later. First you become a developed country, then we will hear you. Are you understanding the problem of WTO? WTO will not hear you out unless you are powerful economically. So India kept on telling WTO, one statement for India please, that India is a sufferer of trade war. So WTO kept on saying that, no, this is between these two parties, you remain silent, which is biasness. So you will see that I will talk about WTO, etc. in the class, and then I'll give you some information about them, which will not make you very happy. You'll feel very bad and disturbed when you see the behavior about how these international agencies are behaving. It's a very objectionable behavior because you are picking things here. Just because your party is involved in something, you are calling it trade war. And what about India? India is a victim of trade war. Silence. Not even a single notification by WTO. So what did India do? India said, okay, we are silent for some time. But India also started to retaliate. How did India retaliate? मैं बताता हूँ आपको. What India did is, India said, USA, what are you sending to India? USA said mobile phone, laptop. That comes to India from USA also. So what did India do? India said, okay, 30% tariff against US laptops and mobile phones. We retaliated in the year 2019. For the first time, deliberately we did it. Immediately USA stopped this. USA said, okay, we are friends. That was the first example of India directly participating in a trade war and retaliating with almost close to 30% tariff against US goods. And again, when WTO started to give a lecture to India, India said, you can't speak. Because previously when this happened, you didn't speak. So now also you don't speak. And this matter was put under the carpet. This is the story of trade protectionism about import tariffs. So what did I teach you? I taught you a tariff barrier related to import tariffs. And which countries did we name? We named USA, we named China, we named India. Since we are preparing for UPSC, so we have to bring the Indian angle wherever possible. Please write. Likhe, please explain. We have written 2 points, no? First is import tariff and export tariff. Now let's write a paragraph to explain them. Explanation for import tariff. This part, guys, see? We are going to explain this point. Import tariff. Explanation. Please write. Import tariff is used by countries. Import tariff is used by countries which import goods, services from their trade partners either to protect their interest or deliberately hurt the trade partner. Deliberately hurt the trade partner. So guys, can you tell me an example of where USA used import tariff to protect itself against India or China? So USA put tariff against China to protect itself, but USA used the same import tariff against India to hurt India. So see, same import tariff used in two ways, one to protect, one to hurt. And both are called as tariff barriers, both are called as trade barriers, but intentions are different. So please write example. USA imposed import tariffs on Chinese steel because China was providing subsidy to its manufacturers. Full stop. India also faced import tariff by USA. Import tariff by USA. Full stop, please. So we learned two things. Import tariff can be used to hurt. Import tariff can also be used to protect because somebody else is doing something nasty. Now let's talk about export tariff and see how India uses export tariff. So bachcho, what did I tell you? Tariff barriers are of two types. MS, whatever you missed during dictation, I'll take the notebook of your friend and I'll dictate it towards the end. You keep 2 lines blank, I'll dictate it. So guys, tariff barriers are of two types. One is import tariff, and I taught you two sides of import tariff, one to hurt and one to protect. Two examples. Now similarly, there is something called export tariff. You tell me, who will put an export tariff? The country who is exporting or the country who is importing? Exporting. Who will put import tariff? The country which is importing. Who will put the export tariff? The country which is exporting. I can give you an example. How to use it to hurt and how to use it to protect yourself. Example. India cultivates a lot of potatoes, tomatoes, onion, rice, sugarcane, etc. Now suppose this season has not been good in terms of monsoon, very bad season. Production is not good. And you know that on many occasions in India, we face severe crunch or scarcity of tomatoes, onion, potatoes, rice, wheat and sugarcane. At that time, what does India do? Government of India says, do not export tomatoes, do not export onions. But many people don't listen to the government. So what does government do then? Government of India says, Tika, you want to export? Let's do one thing. Since India does not have sufficient tomatoes this year, so India releases an advisory to people that, hey, please don't export, help in government of India to control the price, keep the tomatoes in India, but people don't listen. So what does government of India do? Government of India says, okay then, what I'll do is, if the price of tomatoes is 100 rupees a kg which you are exporting, government says every exporter will face a 40% export tariff. Which means now the tomatoes which are going out of India for 100 rupees, government will add 40 rupees to it as a tax. Now the effective price of tomatoes for the world market will become 140 rupees a kg. Because government has put export duty over it, export tariff over it. So since India is exporting it, government adds more money to it and government says, you Mr. Exporter, this 40 rupees will come to India. So you have to sell the tomatoes at 140. So when government of India puts export tariffs, our export becomes costly and then people across the world say, we are not interested in buying Indian tomatoes. This is one of the ways of preventing. However, despite putting export tariff, if across the world people are saying, no, Indian tomatoes are fine, then government of India says, then there is only one method left, which is ban the exports. So you will never see direct ban on commodities in India. The first thing that government does is releases an advisory that please don't export tomatoes because this year there is a shortage. It is always done in India. That's a rule. But when people do not listen to advisories, then government of India puts export tariffs. When government of India puts an export tariff, even then If exports are not coming down and every tomato is going out of India, then government says we have to take drastic measure, we have to ban. Why does India directly not ban? Because India wants to keep its track record of being an open economy very clean. Because India wants to tell it to global agency that see, we tried. So this is the sequence which is followed. Same sequence is followed when I teach you banking. There is something called as monetary policy. So when I teach you monetary policy, I'll teach you monetary policy in a slightly different way. I'll teach you exactly what RBI does, and I'll also tell you why Dr. Shaktikant Das has been winning awards across the world for being the best RBI governor. There is a reason he is winning those awards, and there is a reason that nobody criticizes him now. Not even Dr. Raghuram Rajan. Dr. Rajan also says that I am a fan of Dr. Shaktikant Das. Dr. Rajan, almost a Nobel Prize winner in future. Dr. Shaktikant Das, a historian. So an economist is telling a historian that you are a better economist than me. I mean, what more do you need in life? Dr. Rajan doesn't praise anybody. He doesn't praise himself also. But he praises Dr. Shaktikant Das specifically for his monetary policy approach. So in India also we follow the same approach that you never increase the interest rate first. You first adopt a very soft approach. When the soft approach does not work, then you threaten them, telling them, hey, don't do this. When they don't listen to you, then you increase the interest rates in India. That's the sequence. Same sequence here. So first government of India tells the tomato growers, please do not export. When they don't listen, government of India says, I'm going to put export tariff. When they don't listen, government says, ban on exports. That's the sequence. This is real policy. So sometimes we use export tariffs not to hurt anybody, but to protect ourselves because we don't have tomatoes, we want to protect ourselves. But sometimes we use these export tariffs to hurt also. How do we use export tariffs to hurt? I'll give an example. Suppose that Sri Lanka is getting very close to China, and we don't like this, that Sri Lanka should be getting close to China. And we know Maldives, for example. Let's take the real example. Why take Sri Lanka? Why bring Sri Lanka here? Maldives. When Maldives started leave India, India out movement, India out, India out. What did India do? India said, no problem, we'll be out. Just one thing. Now India started to send the bakery items and the processed food by putting export tariffs. Which means if I'm a person who is sending, yogurts to Maldives, the packet of yogurt costs 100 rupees. Government of India said 70% export tariff over it. So now the yogurt would cost 170 rupees. So what did Maldives do? Maldives said, I don't want it. India said, we also don't want you to have our products. So what was India doing at that time? India was trying to hurt Maldives economically. It was not to protect ourselves. But when we banned these tomatoes, put export tariffs, why did we do that? Because we wanted to control inflation in India. So same weapon can be used to hurt, same weapon can be used to protect. Why is it important that you should know it? Because in UPSC they will ask you that, is it necessary that export tariff will hurt a country? We don't know. Maybe somebody is trying to protect themselves in that process we are doing it. So it's not to hurt you, but if you are hurt, what can I do? Right, so are you understanding this? Randomly somebody comes to you and tells you, give me your phone number. Why will you give phone number? But then that person will say, you broke my heart. Obviously, yes. But did you do it intentionally? No, that's a rule. You don't share your phone number. Simple. Are you understanding? Don't share your phone number. Right, please write. Change the paragraph and please write. Export tariffs are used by countries to make the export costly, full stop. It can be used to increase the domestic availability of items during inflation, or it can also be used to deliberately hurt another country by making exports costly. Now please give a title. Non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff tariff barriers done. Non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers. By the way, if I ask you a simple question, what is globalization? Globalization means opening the border and integrating, or closing the border. Opening the border and integrating. What would be the meaning of deglobalization? GS paper 2. Deglobalization. Closing the border. Literally, you don't close the border. You follow policies which makes you very conservative. Like you stand like this, closed mindset. That's called deglobalization. So, if somebody will ask you, beta, please write an essay or an answer on deglobalization, what will you write? These things. You will write that this can be used for deglobalization, this can be used for deglobalization, which means whenever you use these two things to hurt somebody, that's deglobalization. So this question can be asked in UPSC, or I can ask you this question in the class in the form of a test that discuss deglobalization. What are the instruments of deglobalization? Then you have to say that import tariff to hurt somebody deliberately is deglobalization. Export tariff to hurt somebody deliberately is deglobalization. These are the instruments of deglobalization. These are also the instruments to protect yourself. For example, if inflation is there in India, I use export tariff. That's not deglobalization. I'm protecting myself. I have every right to protect my livelihood, food security. But if I use export tariff to hurt Maldives, just because Maldives said something like that which we didn't like, example, then maybe we are hurting them deliberately. That could be deglobalization. So just because you don't like somebody says something bad, you create, curtains and you say, no, I will never talk to, block the numbers. Not a good idea. Sometimes it's not a good idea. Sometimes it's a good idea. So deglobalization. So if somebody will ask you that 1, 2, 3, 4, so like 5 and 2, these 7 things, what are these 7 things? These are the 7 things which we use to protect. These are the same 7 things which we use to deglobalize. That note I'll give you towards the end. So guys, please write non-tariff barriers. So what is the first non-tariff barrier? You know it already. Quantitative restrictions. Please write number one, quantitative restriction. Where should you write it? Yahan pe. So for example, you remember this diagram we were doing, no? Here. So please write the first quantitative restrictions, QR. Quantitative restrictions. Quantitative restrictions are also called as, either you write quantitative restriction or quota. It is also called as quota or quota restrictions, whatever you want to call. Quantitative restrictions or quota. What is this? Yesterday I gave an example. Where is that? This example. Canada. Remember Canada's example I gave you. What is the rule in Canada? There are few lakh farmers who depend on milk and meat industry in Canada. So any country in the world who says, Canada, I am going to export milk and meat to you, Canada says, no, I will put quantitative restrictions on you. You can't send more than 1,000 liter milk, more than 100 kg meat to Canada, because Canada says my people will be hurt. And if you want to send it, what will Canada do to you? So for example, let's say I give you an example. What is the meaning? Suppose India signs a free trade agreement with Canada. Free trade agreement with Canada. By the way, US and Canada have this kind of deal. US and Canada have absolutely free trade agreement. Now USA, so let's replace this with USA. What is USA doing? USA is sending milk and meat to Canada, but Canada says, hold on, I have every right to protect myself. So in the first 100 liter of milk, whatever US sends to Canada, Canada puts 0 tariff barriers, no tariff barrier at all. So in the 100 liter milk which comes from USA, no taxes at all, but 100 first liter. So the moment it says 1 liter extra, immediately Canada puts a 10% tariff, 10% taxes on US milk. And it makes it costly. And USA does not mind it. Why? Because while signing the deal, the Canada proved it through documents that there are some people who depend on the milk and meat industry and they are vulnerable. If you send very cheaper milk, low priced milk and meat, they will be hurt. Their livelihood will be at stake. And when USA did the examination and check, USA found out that Canada is not lying, it's correct. So looking at the intention, they customized the deal in such a way that they are using quantitative restrictions not to hurt USA, but because they want to save livelihoods. So when you use restrictions to protect yourself, that is called trade protectionism. But when you use restrictions to hurt somebody, that's trade war. So for example, if in Canada, suppose there is nobody who is there in the meat and milk industry and they are very rich people, and still Canada says, I will put quantitative restriction. That's not protectionism, that is war. You are actually creating a war against another country in economic terms. So that's your first example. Let's write it. Please write that under quantitative restrictions, the countries put a limit. The countries put a limit or quota on the amount of imports under trade. It can be used to protect some vulnerable sector or population. Full stop. It can also be used as an instrument of trade war. It can also be used as an instrument of trade war. Next one, please write sanitary and phytosanitary measures. This again I will teach you in WTO. Sanitary and phytosanitary measures, SPS. I will tell you what this is. This is simple. Sanitary and phytosanitary measures, SPS. Guys, do you remember that when India was trying to export Karnataka mangoes to USA, what did USA do? USA said extra pesticide. And they rejected our claim. They said, your mangoes are really useless. Similarly, Sri Lanka. I told you yesterday that when India is trying to export something to Sri Lanka says 5 layered boxes. I need 5 layered boxes. And we said, why? They said, because we want to protect ourselves. So when a country listen to it very carefully. Whenever a country which is importing country, it says that I want to protect human life, plant life and animal life. 3 things, human, plants and animals. And that's why I believe that the country who is sending something to me, they should maintain certain quality standards. So this type of quality standard is called as SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measures. So sanitary and phytosanitary measures are those standards of quality which a country wants to protect human life, plant life and animal life. So for example, in USA, they say that, if you give pesticides in your food items, which is or preservatives in your food items, which is more than 0.001% extra, it hurts me. So that is SPS. SPS means that those measures, quality standards which a country creates so that its plant, human and animal life is protected. Now this can be used for genuine reasons that you want to protect the health, or it can also be used to hurt another country. So for example, USA did not accept Karnataka mangoes. In that case, SPS was used as a non-tariff barrier against India. Not to protect US health, but to hurt India, because India was not buying weapons from USA. So what did India do? So USA indirectly punished India by saying that no, your quality is very bad, your pesticide is more, even though it was not a problem. So WTO becomes very, very strict on these things. WTO says, USA, if you are using these measures to protect your health, no problem. But if India complains that you are using it to hurt India, then our team will go and examine these things, that are they actually hurting your health. So WTO, at least in this thing, is very, very strict, and the maximum number of cases that you see in WTO against this is either for India, for China or USA. These are the 2 countries who have been using this, exploiting other countries by using this clause. So that's not a very good clause because there is so much of value judgment possible. Like for example, India is importing something from Bangladesh. We want to hurt Bangladesh, we are not happy. You know what we are going to say? We'll tell Bangladesh that Bangladesh, the jute that you are selling, its color is dark brown. We don't like it. We feel very hurt. Our eyes are hurt if we look at that jute. Now send us white color jute. There is nothing called white color jute. But India will say, no, no, keep the color light because our packaging material, our textile industry requires light colored jute to make gunny bags, jute bags, etc. What is this kind of demand? Decolorization can be done in India also. Right. So we can argue for price, but this is deliberate to hurt somebody. So this is called as non-tariff barrier, which is SPS. And what did we say? But this color hurts my eye, so don't send this color. Come on. It can be real also, but it can be fake also. Please write. So SPS are those quality standards. SPS, yes Vaishali, we can. SPS are those quality standards which are used by a country to protect the health and well-being of humans, plants and animals. Humans, plants and animals. Plants and animals. SPS can be used for genuine concerns. SPS can be used for genuine concerns as well as for trade war. For trade war. Please put a full stop. Next one is super easy. So please write import license, and you should write it here also. Import license. In your table, import license. You should write it. Import license. I'll tell you what this is, huh? So now guys, just to remind you about a small story. By the way, I'm also going to teach you in one lecture only because it is not very important now, but one lecture for sure on 5-year plans in India, the old 5-year plans, because currently we don't follow the 5-year plans. So in one lecture, I'll complete that portion with you. I'll give you some notes on it also, so that if it is asked in prelims or mains, you can answer that. But earlier we used to do it in, almost like 5 years back, we used to do it for UPSC in great details. But since 5 years, we don't emphasize it at all. In some places, though, they don't even study it properly. But one lecture we are definitely going to do. So there I will tell you, and today I am telling you one thing. So what used to happen in India, listen to it carefully. So what used to happen in India, I'll tell you this story so many times, I'm going to repeat it in different lectures. After we got independence, listen to it carefully, please. After we got independence, what happened is Government of India realized that there is a big problem in India, that food security and people's health, because there was poverty, there was food security, malnutrition, people were dying because of lack of food. So Government of India said, my biggest concern is food security and to make food available to the society. That was the first 5-year plan, which said that in the first 5 years in India, 1951 onwards, for 5 years, government said, I'm going to protect the health of the people because people are dying because of lack of food. That's not a good thing. The second 5-year plan, Government of India said, food is parallelly going on, but we need industries in India. Without industries, how is it possible? How are we going to give, for example, torch? How are we going to give light, sewing machine, cycle, all these things? How are we going to give these things? And you need factories to produce consumer goods also, goods of daily life use. So, for example, industries were given a lot of importance in the second 5-year plan, number 2. Number 3, Government of India had a bitter experience under the British. So when the British came to India, they pretended to be friends. And we let them come to this country, they started to control and rule us. Government of India became very conservative because of this. Once we got independence, it's natural. The Government of India was conservative and government said, no, I don't trust anybody now. I don't trust private companies, because when British came to India, the Queen did not come to India directly. The East India Company came, which was a private company. So the Government of India said that I don't trust private companies now. And also, we were believing in a concept called as socialism, which means entire society should get the benefits of development, not one or two individual. So after independence, this used to be our idea and focus. At that time, listen to it carefully now, this is the point which is important. At that time, suppose after independence, I'm a big industrial, because there were some people who had a lot of money and wealth with them after independence. So suppose I'm one such individual who has some wealth, and I'm telling the government that, Government of India, I want to create so many new products in India, like I want to develop trucks, I want to develop this, that, big things in India. So can you allow me to import, can you allow me to import some machines from foreign countries or some technology from foreign countries, raw material from foreign countries? Immediately Government of India used to say, no, you need a license, take license. And I used to, if I'm an industrialist at that time, I would say, why license? I'm ultimately bringing the technology so that I can produce in India. Government used to say, now take license, import license. And many a times people did not even understand why import license. Later on, everybody understood that, oh, import license was created by Government of India because government never wanted those private companies to become strong, because we had bitter experience of the British. So government had some kind of, sort of repulsive tendency, antagonism towards the private companies, and government said, no, I don't want you to become powerful. So Government of India used to say, under import license, the conditions were so tough. Government used to say 100% custom duties, 500% custom duties. Every company used to say, thank you so much, we don't want to import. And the licenses were released after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. I need the raw material now. License used to be released after 2 years. What will I do in that time? Keep waiting for the government. So everybody thought that it is happening because government is not good. But no, it was not the case. Government was doing it because it had some agenda in the mind. We don't want to make the private sectors more powerful in the country. These used to be some agendas. So that is also used as, import license is also used as a method of protection, because we used to say, why? Because we used to say, if we bring machines from a foreign country, our own domestic companies who develop these machines will never flourish. So government used to say, why should I bring everything from foreign? I want to become self-dependent, self-sufficient. Atmanirbhar Bharat, which you are studying now, that slogan also came long time back after independence, where they were saying that self-sufficiency should be our end goal. Hence, Government of India used to, for right or wrong, we will see when we do the lecture part. But today I am teaching you what was the concept. We are not going into the value judgment today. Today concept. When we study 5-year plan, value judgment. So please write that import licenses, please write that many a times, the governments impose requirement of import license to regulate the type of imports entering a country, It can be used to give an opportunity to domestic industries. It can be used to give an opportunity to domestic industries to become self-sufficient in producing those items. Next point, please write domestic content requirement. So in that table also, please write, bacho, import license. You wrote it, no? Import license. Fourth one, please write domestic content requirement, DCR. In that table flowchart that you are creating, domestic content requirement, DCR, domestic content requirement. I'll give a very simple example. In one minute, you will understand this. Apple wanted to come to India. I'll teach you a topic called as foreign investment, where I'll teach you what is FII, FDI, FPI, all those things. In great details, we'll study. There I'll teach you something called as FDI in retail. So just to give you an example without making it technical today, simple example. Apple called government of India in 2017. It's a real story. Apple called government of India in 2017 and said that India, I want to open stores in your country. And that store will sell only Apple products, just like Samsung is doing in your country. So government of India said no. Why? Because Apple had clearly written that all the mobile phones and laptops that will be sold in India, that will be imported from China. It will only be packaged in India, repackaged in India, assembled in India and sold in India. So either the ready-made laptop and mobile phone will come from China or the components will come, assembly will take place here. Immediately government of India said, thank you, please don't come to India. Apple said, no, but Samsung is doing it in India. India said, no, Samsung is not doing that. You don't know it. What is Samsung doing in India? So government of India told Apple that what Samsung is doing is if they are selling 100 mobile phones in India, 30% of the mobile phones sold by Samsung in India are manufactured within India with Indian components, and those components Samsung is buying from Indian MSMEs. This is called as domestic content requirement. So if anybody who is a foreign country, they want to open a retail store in India where they want to sell only the product of their brand. Like Samsung is selling mobile phone in their stores, Apple is selling mobile phone in their store, Microsoft is selling laptops in their store, tablets in their store, Lenovo, Dell, all these companies. If they open a standalone store in India, if they are opening a store where they are only selling their product, the rule in India is that 30% of whatever you are selling, 30%, has to be manufactured in India using Indian components from MSMEs. And if MSMEs are not able to give you the component, then you can buy it from any big Indian company. But requirement is fixed, at least 30%, you have to buy the components within India itself. That's called domestic content requirement. Now when India said this to Apple, Apple was very angry. Apple was very upset that, Acha, how dare you show this to me? I am a big company. India said, no problem, please leave. Tesla called India, Mr. Musk. So when Tesla called India, he said the same thing. He said that I want to send, my Tesla cars to you, blah, blah, but it will be manufactured in China. Please come. And what did they write? They wrote big messages on internet, on Twitter, X, etc., that India does not listen to me. India is a different kind of country. India, I love you, but I can't come to your country, etc. He wrote this. Mr. Musk wrote all this. And what was the response by Government of India? Government of India showed a letter. And what letter? Government of India showed a letter where Government of India had clearly mentioned that if you want to come to India, you are more than welcome. Number one, you have to follow Indian taxation rule, which even Samsung is following, and they are not cribbing about it. And number two, you have to manufacture 30% of your cars within India. If you agree, please come, otherwise please leave. Now these countries who are cribbing and complaining against India, Mr. Elon Musk is saying India is making the rule. You know what rule is there in China? When Apple went to China and said, I want to manufacture, China said 100% components should be Chinese, all the workers should be Chinese, and you have to share the technology with us. Now you manufacture. Apple had no problems. Tesla has no problem. But India says 30% manufacturing in India, they have a problem. And everybody starts to hound India by saying, why this rule? You are conservative. India said, theek hai, we are conservative, you remove your rule. Right? So, this is called as domestic content requirement. So domestic content requirement can be used to protect our industries. Domestic content requirement can be used to create more employment in India because we want to promote MSMEs. Hence we have created domestic content requirement. So currently what I see across the world is nobody is criticizing India for this 30%. Why? Because our intentions are, we have made a rule that this 30% you have to make in USA 40%. Absolutely correct. I was going to say this. Absolutely correct, Manas. You must be knowing because you are in business. So in India also, USA also, there is a rule called Make in USA. That was created around 2017 under Mr. Donald Trump. So the rule in USA is that if you manufacture anything in USA, sell anything in USA, you have to do certain level of manufacturing within USA itself. Every country has this, but criticism only comes for India. So then India quotes every country and says, why us? If you have to point it out to everyone. So now I don't see any criticism against India. I think this debate has already more or less settled. So you don't see these in newspaper also, that India is doing this. So you can use this to hurt somebody, you can use this to promote MSMEs also. So please write, under DCR, domestic content requirement, a country makes it compulsory for the foreign manufacturers to manufacture a given percent to manufacture a given percentage of their total items to be sold locally, which is that if you are planning to sell 100 mobile phones in India, total you are planning to sell 100 mobile phones, 30 have to be manufactured in India. Why are we not mentioning the percentage? Because we are not studying foreign investment today, so we are not mentioning percent. Percentage can be different, but we can write an example. So please write example. India has imposed 30% DCR rule, 30. India has imposed 30% DCR rule on single brand retail. Single brand means only one brand. Single brand retail stores from foreign countries. Single brand retail stores from foreign countries. What is single brand? Those companies who open a store and sell only one brand under that store. Like Samsung sells only Samsung, Apple sells only Apple. So India has made a 30% DCR rule for the single brand retail stores from foreign countries. Please put a full stop please at the last part, export subsidy. I already gave an example of export subsidy. You have to remind me which example. Bataiye, which example? Absolutely brilliant. China. Yes, first one, correct. So remember I told you the Chinese example. What is China doing? China is selling steel for 10,000 rupees should be the price. 6,000 cost, 4,000 profit. But what is the government of China doing? Through coupons, through some system, 4,000 deposited in my account. So China is suppressing the price from 10,000 to 6,000 by giving export subsidy. It's not a good thing. That's why US has started the trade war. So please write the countries, the countries, please write, let's complete it. The countries who export to their trade partners, Priyank will see. The countries who export to their trade partners sometimes provide subsidies to exporters, to reduce their overall price and make their products competitive. This is against WTO rules. It is considered to be a non-tariff barrier as well as illegal as per WTO. All cool? Please write a question. Discuss the reasons, and you have to tell me the answer. Discuss the reasons for protectionism. Discuss the reasons for protectionism by some countries during trade. You are smart kids, you have to tell me the reasons one by one. I have indirectly told you all the reasons. Now I need the reasons from my online and offline students. I want to see if you are careful in the class. Reason number one. Amazing. Your friend has said the same point. So let's write one point told by your friend on. Then I'll come to you and ask you the second point. So first point which is told by your online and offline friend is that we want to promote some weak domestic industries or new domestic industry. Very nice point. Please write. Number one, point number one, to promote, good point guys, to promote some new or vulnerable domestic sectors in the bracket please write infant industry. We call them as infant industry, absolutely vulnerable, new, little weak, infant industry. Yeah, that's fine, cool. So after independence we use this argument, infant industry argument in 5-year plans. Huh? So number 2 please write. Tell me the second point please. Inflation, which means to achieve some macroeconomic, your friends are saying the same point, amazing. So inflation, okay, which means that to fulfill some macroeconomic objectives like inflation control and food security. Brilliant point. Please write. Number 2, very good guys. Number 2, please write. To fulfill some macroeconomic objectives like inflation control, food security, etc. Third,
to minimize trade deficits.
To minimize trade deficit. But we are talking about protectionism. And we said that protectionism has to be positive. Now, if you want to minimize your trade deficit by hurting somebody, that could be dangerous. Because if you are minimizing your deficit, then somebody is going in deficit. It's a zero-sum game. If you are minimizing deficit, somebody else is going to be in deficit. So we'll hold on to this point. You want to say something? To minimize, so guys, to my online friends and offline, your friend is saying that to minimize SPS exploitation. Okay, how do you minimize SPS exploitation? Through protectionism? Retaliating, no, but that's trade war. So you have to start on a positive note. Like one of your online friend has mentioned a very good point, I'll borrow it. How is it that all of a sudden I see 2 people writing the same point? Are you sitting together? Because Deepak and Manas, you wrote the same point and exactly same. It's amazing, but it's a good thing. You are thinking almost same, we are thinking alike. So it says to promote self-reliance and self-sufficiency, which means that we don't want to depend, your point only, we don't want to over-depend on others because we become vulnerable. So we want to become self-sufficient. This is positive. So please write. You said the right points, by the way, but you have to place it differently. Language. So please write. Atmanirbhar. Your friend is saying Atmanirbhar. Please write that to promote self-sufficiency. To promote self-sufficiency and reduce over-dependence on foreign countries. And to reduce over-dependence on foreign countries. One more point. Dumping. Brilliant point. So one brilliant point by your offline friend is dumping. One brilliant point by your online friend is, and I agree to this point, this is a good point. Your friend has said that sometimes we protect to promote domestic research and development, which is correct. Not to hurt anybody, but sometimes we say that no, for some time we will protect ourselves because we want to create more research and development within the Indian industries. Otherwise, there will be onslaught. There will be a slaughter of Indian industries by foreigners. I'll give an example. Suppose that smartphones are sold in India for 2,000 rupees by foreign companies, very good quality smartphones. And suppose I'm an innovator in the initial stages of my business, I won't be able to do it. I will stop my business. I'll say, sorry, 2,000 to not possible. So yes, that is all a very good point by both of you. What is dumping? I was not using the word dumping because I have not taught you. Dumping I was planning to teach in taxation. but thoda I can tell you dumping. So remember the Chinese example. You tell me, guys. Chinese example. China wanted to sell steel. Very good. What is the cost of production of Chinese steel? 6,000. What is the profit? China wanted a profit of 4,000. What did the government of China do? Subsidy on this part, which means export subsidy, which means this part Chinese government filled in the pocket of the exporters. And then China said, this should be your selling price, which means your selling price, SP, is equal to your cost of production, which means you have suppressed the price to that extent that nobody can match this price with you, because anybody who sells will put some profit, but you are removing the profit part completely and you are saying, I will sell at this price. So when China will sell at this price, nobody will be able to compete, and then entire India and USA will say Chinese steel is the best because price cannot be better than this. So China will dump the entire steel it has produced to countries like India and USA. This is our fear. So sometimes when dumping starts, like what does China do in India? China actually indulges in dumping. Toy industries are the biggest sufferer currently. What is China doing? China is manufacturing toys, it is removing profit, and it is selling the toys at cost price, which means you want to buy teddies in the month of January and February. So at that time, if you want to buy those teddies, the price of the teddy will be 20 rupees. That's the cost in China, 20 rupees. They don't take any profit from us. So what will happen in India? Everybody is going to gift everybody the Chinese stuff. Amazing. So software, both export as well as now you will develop a new taste for Chinese toys and will say Chinese toys are the best. Right? What is China doing? Dumping in India. So just be careful. Huh? So please write, good argument, that protectionism is also practiced to control dumping, by other countries. By the way, bachcho, I'll teach you anti-dumping duties when I teach you taxation, hai na? That I'll teach you later. Next, what did you, somebody gave another point. R&D, very good point. Please write that sometimes, yes Priyank, correct, thanks. Please write, sometimes protectionism is used to give an opportunity to domestic companies, to improve research and development. How many points did we write? Good enough. You can write more points if you feel like, but this should be good enough. Are you? To control brain drain, yes, it can also be. This is also a very good point. Promote R&D culture in India and preserve brain drain. What has your friend said there? But Harshit, we already wrote, Harshita and Priyanka, we already wrote those 2 points related to favorable balance of payment. We said that we want to reduce over dependence on others in terms of import. So that is an indirect point related to balance of trade only. Because if you directly write that India wants to improve balance of trade, hence we are becoming protectionist, that means you are hurting somebody else. So that point we cannot write directly, indirectly we can write. Acha dekho, look at the board please. Current affairs. Without this the lecture cannot be complete. Now see this please. Is the European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism a trade barrier for India? This is July 6, 2024. So what is the rule in India? The rule in India is, bacho, if an Indian company is exporting this pen to European Union says, beta Indian company hold. First give us a certificate which shows us how much carbon was emitted when you produced this pen. Based on the carbon emission, we will put a tax over you. So if the price of the pen is 100 rupees and they feel 10 units of carbon was released in producing the pen, then in European Union, this pen will be sold for 100 plus 10%, 110 rupees. And our pen will not become competitive. Chinese pen will sell then. Nobody will buy Indian pen. More the carbon emission, more is the tax. That method of taxation is called as carbon border adjustment mechanism. So a question was asked that is European Union carbon this taxation, is it a trade barrier for India? Now, Government of India gave a response. Government of India said, it is not a trade barrier. Government itself is saying it is not a trade barrier. So why is it not a trade barrier? Because government justified this. This is government of India. Government of India, see, Mr. Piyush Goyal, he said it's not a trade barrier. When the question was asked to Mr. Goyal that, why do you say this? Because you are the government currently, you are in the cabinet. Why are you saying it's not a trade barrier? He said it's not a trade barrier because both India and European Union, all the countries are signatory to Paris Agreement. And in the Paris Agreement, India itself has said that we will reduce the carbon intensity under Panchamrit goal. We will reduce the carbon intensity of our products. Now, somebody who is telling us that if you are not reducing carbon intensity, then we'll put a tax over you, then it is actually helping us to become more disciplined. How can that be a barrier? Because India itself has said we will do it. So if somebody is helping me to do that, how can I call itself as a barrier? So that's government stand. Since government itself is saying I am happy with it, how can we write in the exam that it's a trade barrier? Because this is government stand. We can't write against that. So government is saying I am happy somebody is trying to make me disciplined. But let me tell you this, government is saying it superficially. Government is not happy. Government is saying, who are you to discipline me? Right? So government of India is saying, you are disciplining me like this. No, I will also retaliate in a different way. Now India is making plans that when investment from European Union will happen under India, when that FDI from European Union will come to India, India says, I will also take a certificate from your companies about how much carbon your company is emitting across the world. Because entire world is a village according to India. And India says that Paris Agreement says global carbon emission has to also come down. Global temperature has to be controlled. So I will also ask for a certificate to you that please give me the certificate that the company which is coming from Europe to India, how much carbon is this company emitting across the world and what is your contribution in global warming? Accordingly, if nobody else has put a tax over you, we will put a tax. So now European Union is saying that India is also helping us. So officially, देखो बच्चों, this is UPSC. So one has to be pragmatic. If officially UPSC asks you a question that, is it an example of trade barrier? Why government is saying it's not a trade barrier, how can you write it as a trade barrier? So you also have to say if you want to crack UPSC, and I know you want to crack UPSC. So in UPSC you will say it is not a trade barrier. And then if UPSC tells you that critically examine, I'll teach you critically examine, then you should say that even though officially it does not look like a trade barrier, but unofficially it is. Why? Because maybe India can achieve that carbon emission, targets that we have fixed by 2030. We have time. But who are they? Who is this country to impose this on us and say that no, you achieve it in 2025 only? Why? Because we ourselves have said that we'll achieve it by 2030. Then why are you pressurizing us? Because that's not your job. Under Paris Agreement, nowhere it is written that you have to make us disciplined. And if you are trying to do it, that's a barrier. You are using it as an excuse to hurt us. In that sense, critical examination, you write both the sides. But if it comes in prelims, then we will write that no, it is not a trade barrier. In mains, we will write that it looks like a trade barrier in the sense that India has a certain timeline which nowhere mentions that another country can put pressure over us using these mechanisms. Did you understand? For UPSC, this is how you will write. Dekho, if I have to become a revolutionary, then I'll say European Union go back. Even though they didn't come, but I'll say go back. If I have to become a revolutionary. But if I have to crack UPSC, I'll say that official stand is it's not a trade barrier. Unofficially, it is not mentioned in Paris Agreement that countries can put pressure over each other like this. That's the point. So please write. Please write a small note. The note would be carbon border adjustment mechanism. Carbon border adjustment mechanism. Priyank, give me time. Let me first dictate this part to you. Carbon border adjustment mechanism. That's your title. Carbon border adjustment mechanism. Please write. As per government, CBAM is not a trade barrier. Is not a trade barrier. Because it is in line with India's commitment It is in line with India's commitment of carbon emission control, because it is in line with India's commitment of carbon emission control under Panchamrit goal. Under Panchamrit goal. What did India do? You must be studying environment. There you would have studied that in 2021, COP26, Prime Minister of India made a commitment to the whole world that I am going to follow Panchamrit goal. So there are 5 points mentioned related to the environmental targets that we are going to achieve. One of the targets is carbon intensity will come down, carbon emission will come down. When I teach you inclusive growth, there will be a day when I teach you inclusive growth in the class. There I will teach you Panchamrit goals, because India's inclusive growth also moves along with Panchamrit goal. They two have become one, by the way. So when I teach you inclusive growth, that day we'll study this. But for now, just understand that Panchamrit goal is about carbon emission control and environment friendly approaches that our industry should adopt. That is mentioned there. So now please change the paragraph and write however. However is very important. Huh? However, the Paris Agreement these type of taxes have not been made mandatory. So some countries call it trade barrier. Trade barrier. Full stop, please. Can I ask one more example? I won't make you write this, but I just want to ask you this question and I want to see your response, because I know that one day I'll teach you foreign investment, there we'll discuss it, but just one question. Guys, first 2 questions. First of all, do you believe that trade protectionism is always negative? It's not negative all the time. In fact, when it's negative, it is called trade war. Trade protectionism can be for positive reasons. I gave you the reason. So that's number 1. Number 2. Now, I have not taught you this because I have decided to teach it when I teach you foreign investment, but just one point. You know, whenever investment comes from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, all the countries which share land border with India, bordering countries, when we get investment from these countries, Government of India says, hey, you can't directly come to India. First, you have to get clearance from Home Ministry, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Environment, DPIIT, RBI, and the central government. You have to get permission from these departments. Do you think we are trying to hurt anybody here? Not necessarily. We have genuine concerns of safety and security. Now, does that mean that no investment from these countries are coming? Absolutely not. If you look at Chinese investment, it's huge even today. Roughly 4,500 startups are there in India which are getting only Chinese funding. So, of course, yes, we are getting funds. Bangladesh also, we have been very liberal with Bangladesh. If they wanted to produce something in India, we said do that, no problem. Like Grameen Bank. The concept of Grameen Bank, they already opened an office in the northeast of India. They were trying to open an office in central India and southern part of the country. And we gave them permission and no problem, sir, you come, there is no issue. So which means that India is not saying that we will not have friendship with you, but just that India is saying that we want to see the kind of people from your country who are sending money. We don't want terror finance. So we have to be slightly more careful. So it's not a barrier, but yes, we are protecting ourselves. It's protectionism. When it is protectionism, of course, it's a barrier, but not trade war. So it's not in the negative sense. So we have to examine them case by case basis. It says, Zara, don't go into the detail, there will be problem. Please write one question. Discuss the reasons Sucheta, that's correct, but under Paris Agreement, how can you impose this target on India? Because it's bilateral. So whatever you do at your home is your target. No, that's what we wrote. Under Paris Agreement, it was not mentioned that countries will freely do it against each other. That's the thing. What did I tell you?
Discuss the reasons.
Discuss the reasons. Thank you. Discuss the reasons for India's withdrawal from RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, very crucial. Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is a part of both IR as well as GS paper 3. Discuss the reasons for India's withdrawal from RCEP. Therefore, I can teach you this from two perspectives. One, emotional perspective, wastage of time. Second, very precise and pinpointed things from UPSC that will be very useful. We'll follow the second method. We will not make it emotional, we'll make it very technical and UPSC oriented, point by point. So let's see. But again, I told you that there is some IR element to it, so we'll go and do some background of IR, hardly 5 minutes. See guys, this is your map, and let me tell you the context in which we are studying this. Let me tell you a story for 10 minutes, feed the story in your mind. I tell you that the dictation and the reason for India's withdrawal will become super easy to you if you know the background. What is the background? See. You see, the story starts here in 1967. In 1967, if you can see, I have mentioned something called ASEAN. You are UPSC kids, you study these things in your IR. So in ASEAN, how many countries are there currently? Number of member countries in ASEAN? 10. Which are the countries? Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. These are the 10 countries which are there. I have written these names. These are the 10 countries which are there as the member of ASEAN. What is ASEAN actually? What is ASEAN? 1967, listen to it very carefully. In 1967, see this, all these 10 countries. So initially it started with 5 only, but later on when it became a group of 10 countries. So the basis is 1967 agreement, whereby these countries, some of these countries came together and they decided that we are going to create a free trade agreement amongst ourselves. So let's say 5 countries out of this, they created a group of 5 countries, the first 5 countries mentioned here. So they created a group and they said that this group will sign free trade agreement with each other. So Philippines will sign a free trade agreement with Malaysia, Malaysia with Thailand, Thailand with this with this. Everybody is signing free trade agreement with everybody else. That's the group. So suppose we are a group, you and I, online, offline. We are 10 members in the class. We all sign free trade agreement amongst each other. So I sign with 9 others, you also sign with 9 others, 10, done. That's your ASEAN. Which means ASEAN is going to exchange goods, little bit of services initially. But then I told you customization is possible. So later on they also included investment as well and they said, yeah, it is fine. Because we are family, we can do it. So this is how the ASEAN was born. Now, let's come to this 1991. In 1991, the government of India adopted an approach called as Look East policy. Why? Look at the map. So government of India realized, look at this map please. You can clearly see that that's India. That's India. And India said that if we want to counter Chinese aggression and if we want to create more geopolitical alliances, we need to look towards East. So two main reasons were there. I'm teaching you this from economics perspective that 2 reasons were there. The geopolitical reason, of course, the IR, because we wanted more alliance. And number 2, we said that now we have become an open economy in 1991. So we said that this can also be a problem. We already have had a history of wars with China. So we said that if we need more friends, we need to be present in this geography. Otherwise, what will happen is this influence of China will spread over here. And these countries will become a buffer zone of China. And then they will speak the Chinese language in future. So we said, let's look towards East so as to create more friendship so that these countries don't become buffer state of China. So that was also one of the reasons. And we also wanted to have more trade, more investment, more business. These were the things in the mind. So India started this policy called as Look East policy in 1991. In the Look East policy, India could not succeed so much. That was the expectation from the government of India in terms of deals. Yes, in terms of soft power and approach, good beginning, but in terms of tangible result, it didn't come so soon. So finally in the year 2010, something very interesting happened. 2010. Finally India was able to convince these 10 members of ASEAN that, you know, you have trade deal amongst yourselves. So I'll give an example. So this is ASEAN, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam. All the 10 members are there. India was saying, boss, All of you have free trade agreements amongst you. You are like a family. India said, I am here. I want to have free trade agreement with all of you. So ASEAN said, done. So in 2010, they agreed finally. Look, his policy gave result. So finally, we have a free trade agreement in 2010 with all these countries, which means all of a sudden, one signature, 10 free trade agreements. Then India told that, can we expand this agreement and decide the positive list? They said no, because this is a new agreement. We still want to see how the behavior of India is, and they were very skeptical about India's services. They said, India, if we open everything in our economy, so what will happen is you will dominate us by selling all your services to us, and it will become dangerous for us. So they told India that in FTA 2010, which was signed between India and ASEAN, only goods was included. This was a limited FTA. And they said that India, we feel little threatened and skeptical about your services, because you will start to push services and we won't be able to control it. Our economy, domestic services finished, protectionism. So they were not hurting India, they were protecting themselves. And what did India do? Because India wanted friendship, India said done. Because if India would have become rigid here, this deal was not possible. And in foreign policy and IR, somewhere you have to take 2 steps so that your opponent can take 1 step. It is possible sometimes. So time and space. So India agreed, India said done. And finally, India's hard work paid off when this is 2010, only goods included India and ASEAN. Finally, in 2015, service was also included. Right, 2 things done, which means in 2010, ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement. This was signed. Now in 2015, this ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement, goods plus services. Here it was only goods. This was the difference, which means this deal was modified. Services were included. But then what happened is, around 2020, we all of a sudden hear a news that this ASEAN, India and ASEAN, they were planning to sign some agreement called as RCEP, where investment was also supposed to be included. So if you look at the full form of RCEP, it says Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. And we have seen CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And look at RCEP. RCEP looks almost similar to CEPA. Look at the first 3. Look at this. Which means it was nothing but it was CEPA with a new name. So they were actually trying to sign it. But what did India do? All of a sudden, 2020, India said, I am out. They were shocked that how is it possible you are saying out, because negotiation must be going. It's like getting engaged to somebody for so many years, 10, 15 years, and when the marriage day comes, all of a sudden in the morning you say, you make an announcement that I'm not ready for the marriage. That's what India did, seriously. So see, look at this guys. So, see, look at the timelines, and then you'll understand what I'm saying. So see, in 1991, look his policy, 2010, only goods, and the deal was signed. In 2015, services were also included in the positive list. What is this? So 2010, we signed a free trade agreement where we included only goods. But exactly in the year 2012, which is between 10 and 15, 2012, there was a talk, there was a murmur, there was a very soft talk where ASEAN was saying, why don't we sign Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement not only with India, so ASEAN 10, and then they said include India, then they said include China, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, include everybody, and Korea. So they said along with ASEAN 10 countries include 6 more countries. Which are these 6 countries? The 6 countries would be China, South Korea, Japan, India, Australia, New Zealand. They said ASEAN 10 and 6 here. Include them and sign a deal called as Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And there they said that the name will be RCEP. So first proposed in 2012. But since it involved 6 countries, it obviously will take time. So then India said that ASEAN 2012, you are already saying that you want to sign CEPA with India. So first of all, include services also along with goods. Then we will talk about CEPA. So they included services in 2015 and India ASEAN signed a deal where goods and services were included. But I told you in 2012 for the first time, this RCEP, its discussion started in ASEAN. But then what happened that India had to pull out, because exactly in 2020 India pulled out. When India pulled out and India said, I'm not interested, everybody asked a question, why? India gave these reasons. India said, this reason. Now everybody was making fun of India and they were doing mockery of India by saying that India, you are saying these things today when the deal is being signed. The deal had to be signed that morning. That morning India said, I'm not ready. When everybody criticized India, you know what happened? A press conference happened by the Ministry of External Affairs, and point by point the ministry gave a rebuttal. Point by point ministry said that, do you think India is saying no today? No. We were saying these things since the year 2012. That we want this. But what happened? Under the Chinese influence and under the influence of some countries, the ASEAN decided that they will sideline all these demands of India, and they said, first you sign, then we will talk. So they said, this is not supposed to happen. And what did India do? India produced the records of all the meetings and negotiations which happened from 2012. So India said that I have been making this request in 2012, different governments, of course different governments. But both the governments, this government and the previous government, they were making the same demands from ASEAN. They were saying, no, we want these lists to be fulfilled. But ASEAN never accepted the list. So India said, I never accepted what you said, ASEAN, and you never accepted what India said. How can we sign the deal? And why are you in a hurry? And after that, they stopped criticizing India because India produced a proof that it is not new demand. This demand started from 2012. That is the context. So India did not opt out in haste, or India did not opt out because India was very angry with somebody. India said, by negotiation is going on, you are not helping. Which are the points? Point number one, look at this please. Point number one says trade deficit and China factor. Let's write something. Pehle likho please. Please write that ASEAN, please write ASEAN is a free trade zone, free trade zone with 10 members. India adopted Look East policy. India adopted Look East policy in 1991. And was able to sign ASEAN India FTA, ASEAN India Free Trade Agreement, AIFTA, ASEAN India Free Trade Agreement in 2010, containing goods, containing GOODS goods. In 2015, services were also included. Services were also included along with goods. Change the paragraph, please. The discussion related to RCEP, started in ASEAN in 2012. Where the 10 members of ASEAN, decided to sign RCEP with India, South Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and China. Australia, New Zealand, and China. But in 2020, India decided to withdraw. The main reasons were number one, trade deficit. Look at this, guys. Trade deficit and China factor. Trade deficit and China factor. Trade deficit and China factor. Let me tell you what it is. Super simple. See guys, you don't have to do this complicated stuff. It is only for understanding. Dictation will be one line. Because points are more, so you can't elaborate everything. It will become too hectic. Huh? So see what is there. Look carefully how simple it is. India made one objection to ASEAN. India said that, boss, look at the nature of relationship between India and China. Look guys, what is this? This line is export. This line is export and this is import. Which means that what is more from China? India is exporting more to China or importing more from China? Importing more from China. Export is lower, import is higher. So India kept on telling everybody, but that see, this is our import line which is growing, this is our export line. We are exporting very less to China, which means China must be using some kind of barriers, because it is not possible that a country does not import anything from India. It is not possible. So it must be using, and we know the barrier that China uses. China uses a barrier called as export tariffs. It provides subsidies to its producers. So we are not able to compete with them. So we were raising an objection that China is using a lot of barriers, because of which we are not able to export even simple things to them. So we said, sorry, we are not ready. Why? Because look at the gap between import and export. Our imports are rising like this from China and exports are rising very slowly, which means trade deficit with China is rising very fast. So India said our trade deficit with China is rising very fast. Import is this, export is this, gap is there. We said, sorry, we are not ready. First ask China to reduce these kind of barriers. Immediately China said, prove it that we have a barrier. India said, acha, let me prove it through a report. So first of all, you give export subsidy, that's number one. And number two, there is a list which has been created by OECD. See what OECD have done. OECD have, through mathematical calculations, they have found out the non-tariff barriers used by various countries. Tariff barrier is visible. If you put some tariff taxes, it is visible. Non-tariff barriers are not visible. Sometimes they are hidden. So OECD has found out the non-tariff barriers and they have said, look at the non-tariff barrier used by China. And look at the non-tariff barriers used by India. This is China. India mostly uses non-tariff barriers for genuine protection of some vulnerable section. An Indian non-tariff barrier has a timeline that for 15 years will protect agriculture, something like this. Look at China. So India said your non-tariff barrier is very high. And then India started to use this OECD report and India said, look at Japan, look at Japan, look at where is Australia? Look at Australia. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at this. So India started to say, look at the members who are supposed to join this ASEAN plus 6 countries. Look at all their non-tariff barriers. This is India. India said, why should I join you? Because all of you are using non-tariff barriers. I am not saying it, OECD is saying it. Immediately they were silent. These are genuine concerns of India, guys. So the first thing that India objected was that there is trade deficit with China, and second thing objection of India was, according to OECD, one of the highest non-tariff barriers is by other countries, which is ASEAN and other 5 countries. India has one of the lowest non-tariff barriers in this point we presented. So please write. Let's explain the first point, that India's import from China. Absolutely, Priyank. India's import from China is increasing at a faster pace. Than export. That is, trade deficit is rising. Trade deficit is rising. Right? In fact, India has trade deficit with most of the countries who were supposed to join RCEP. Join RCEP. Done, guys? Point number 2, please write. Non-tariff barrier. Please give a title, non-tariff barrier. Non-tariff barrier. According to OECD, India India has relatively least non-tariff barrier compared to the RCEP members. India demanded the RCEP to reduce non-tariff barrier, NTB. India demanded the RCEP to reduce NTB. Done? Third point, please write. See, I told you, these points will become super easy for you now because now you have the background in mind. That's why I first taught you today protectionism. It's important to know it. Next point, see, industries and China factor. You don't have to draw this diagram in the exam. It is only for understanding. Please write industries and China factor. I will explain it. Industries and China factor. Dekho, these are big questions. In big questions, you can't draw these kind of diagrams. You don't have the liberty in the exam. What at max you can do is one world map where you put RCEP members. That's it. It is very complicated. Examiner does not understand these things and they will deduct your marks. They will say, what is this? So please write industries and China factor. Now let me tell you what this is and then in 2 lines we can write. See, look at this please carefully. What is China doing? Very funny thing. China is producing steel. Guys, fadafat I'm going to write the numbers. China is producing steel for 6,000. 4,000 is the profit. But what is the government of China doing? Subsidy. Which means China is pushing 6,000 rupees steel to USA. USA got to know about this. So what did USA do? Cheaper steel was being pushed from China to USA. What did USA do? In 17, 18 and 19, USA increased the tariff by 28%. This is what was done by USA. And I told you which years, 2017, 18, 19. So by the time 2020 came, China suffered. China was not able to sell the steel. India was very, very skeptical that if I open my borders under RCEP, India has to open the borders. So India was very skeptical that if we open our borders, what will happen is whatever items China was not able to sell in US, China will push those items in India. So India was very skeptical that first they will push agricultural items and then industrial items like steel, because India would be the only big market for China. So India was very skeptical that I don't want to sign the agreement because you are suffering and I know what you will do. Since you are not able to sell it to US, you are going to sell it to India. This was our concern. And we said, Pehle, give it in writing that you are not going to sell this kind of steel to India, subsidized steel. They said, why should we give you in writing? India said, we will not sign the deal. These are the problems, guys. So please write that because of trade war between US, and China, China had huge unsold stock, in the bracket inventory. China had huge unsold stock, inventory of items like steel. India was concerned that China might dump the products in India, which will hurt Indian domestic industries. Next point, please write. Agriculture. This is simple. Agriculture. Yeah.
Trade was between India and ASEAN countries and China and ASEAN countries. How come China and India?
Oh, because this is ASEAN. Okay? Now there are 6 countries, for example, China, India, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. These are the 6 countries. So what they were going to do is they were going to sign this agreement where every country was going to sign agreement with every other country. That was the deal. It was very dangerous. So India was saying, boss, I don't want to sign an agreement because you might hurt me. That was the reason. So now look at this part. Agriculture, I have drawn a map. I will give you this in writing, that what you have to write. See, look carefully. Some examples I have taken just to tell you what is happening. I told you that Government of India is concerned with some vulnerable farmers. Who are those farmers? Government of India is concerned. So Government of India says that India produces rubber also, but not that much of quality and quantity that we are the, one of the best in the world. We also feel threatened by some countries like Vietnam. They are competing against us in rubber. And similarly, Indonesia is also competing against us in rubber. And similarly, guys, from Sri Lanka, we are concerned that spices might enter India and might hurt us. And from Australia and New Zealand, the dairy product. These are some of the concerns which is there in India. If India signs any free trade agreement with any of these countries, now India's point is that my farmers are vulnerable. It might hurt us to the extent that the below poverty line section of the society might increase in India. And India says we might have more farmer suicide. We don't want it. So what condition did India put? India said, I will sign RCEP with you, but under the condition that for 15 years, guys, look at this carefully. India said, I will sign RCEP with you. But the condition of India is for 15 years, if Vietnam is sending, example, Vietnam is sending rubber, Indonesia is a part of it, Indonesia is sending rubber, Australia, New Zealand, dairy, India said, I will put a tariff of that percentage so that the price of the dairy product of Australia and New Zealand and India becomes equal. Then people can decide which milk do they want. So India said if the price of the milk in India is 50 rupees a liter, and suppose they are selling the milk at 20 rupees a liter to India. India said our farmers and dairy products gone. So India said I will add 30 rupees to it and I will make the price equal for next 15 years so that I protect my farmers. After 15 years, India said, I'll open it. I will not put any tariff. So they said, why 15? India said, because we believe that in next 15 years, the income of the farmer will increase, vulnerability will come down. India was asking for 15 years. They said, we will not give you 1 year also. India said, I'm out. This was the condition by India. Some newspapers misreported this and said, India wanted, to ban the import of agricultural items. Absolutely wrong. You read the argument, you read the original RCEP and the notification by government, it is written there. So please write that in order to protect vulnerable agricultural community, like spices, rubber, milk and meat, India wanted to impose tariffs on agricultural import for 15 years, for 15 years, which was unacceptable to RCEP, which was unacceptable to RCEP. Auto triggerism. Next point, please write. Auto trigger. Absolutely, Manas, correct. Auto trigger mechanism. Dekho, what is auto trigger? Listen to it carefully, you will learn it soon. See what is happening. That's your India. This is China, this is ASEAN. Look at it carefully, bacho. So, India was going to sign an RCEP which had China and ASEAN both. So, India was telling everyone that, see, if China is going to export electronic items to India, India also wants its own electronics industry. So, we said we will not hurt you, but we will keep quantitative restrictions. Which means India said that if you are trying to export laptops in India, we will say that quantitative restriction or quota is equal to 100 laptop. The moment you cross 100 laptop and China sends 100 first laptop, which means 1 laptop extra, India said I will put a tariff of 10%. Not to hurt you badly, but because I want to protect my own industry so that they become strong. And again, India said, I want to do this for next 10 years. That's it. Quota. But India was being transparent that I am putting a quota over here, not to hurt you, but I am putting a quota over here because we want that in future, our industries, laptop industry also grows. You also grow, I also grow. So yes, just like Canada puts a quota on dairy products, we are putting a quota on laptops. Similarly, we said, ASEAN, if you are sending food to India, we will not say no to you, processed food, you send it. But after some time, when you send the processed food, let's say after 10 packets, quota is 10 packets only, in the 11th packet, we will put a tariff of 10%. And that too only for 10 years. This is auto trigger mechanism. What is meaning of auto trigger? Once you cross certain number of items, automatically tariffs are triggered. That is called auto trigger. This is called protectionism, not to hurt you, not against China, but just because we want to promote some industries. Infant industry argument. So please write that India wanted to use auto trigger mechanism under which tariffs are imposed on the imports once the import crosses the prescribed quota. Once the import crosses the prescribed quota. And the last point, rules of origin. By the way, you guys are very sweet because when I started to teach you trade, you didn't ask me rules of origin in between. And when I told you, I know that many a times I keep telling you that if you wait for the story, everything will come. This is a very common term which everybody asks. So I wanted to cover it towards the end using a context and an example. So I also waited. That's your last part. So please write rules of origin. You don't have to draw the diagram. Rules of origin. And whenever diagrams are important, I keep telling you, you draw it. I provide you some diagrams also. But these diagrams, whenever I don't give you a diagram, don't use it because in UPSC, few things are not respected. If you make it complicated, UPSC will say, I don't understand this. And frankly, in one point, you should not draw this big diagram. You won't be able to write content. So guys, see what is rules of origin. I'll make it super simple for you. See. Now guys, what is happening is that's India. China is exporting laptop to us. Dhyan sunna please. China is exporting laptop to us. We have put a quantitative restriction auto trigger mechanism that China can send only 100 laptops. After that, we will put a tariff. So China sends 100 laptop and then China shuts down and says, yeah, thank you. And see then what China does. China sends the same laptop to Singapore where components are sent and China assembles it here in a factory. But that factory is registered in Singapore. So 100 laptops sold to India, another 100 laptop from China reaches Singapore, and in Singapore they assemble the laptop and they register a new company and everybody is told that it's a Singaporean company. They'd hide it that it's a Chinese company. So a Chinese company comes and calls itself Singaporean company, and now Singapore sends 100 laptops to India. And when we question them, whose laptop are these? They say it's Singaporean laptop. So what has China done? China has sold 100 laptop directly and 100 laptop indirectly. So what has India said? India says, hold on. If you are trying to sell, so India is saying that under the RCEP mechanism, if Singapore or China, they are trying to sell laptops to India, India has a right to ask for one thing. First, India will say, give me a certificate where the government of China and Singapore should write that, okay, what is the origin of this laptop? Which means the company which produced the laptop, we need their details. And the government of Singapore needs to verify and check through their own checking mechanism that whether this company is Chinese company or Singaporean. And number two, government of India said, we need physical access to these companies. Which means if Indian officials want to travel to your country and check the details of these companies, you should not stop us. So first you send the file of the company who is sending the laptop, we will examine. And government of Singapore should put a stamp and signature. And number two, Indian official needs physical access to this. This is called as rules of origin. Under rules of origin, two things are done. A certificate is demanded and physical access to verify is also demanded. That's called rule of origin. Yeah. That's different. We'll see that. Well, then we'll see. It is triangulation only, but there is only one glitch here. In triangulation, you don't demand the physical access. But here what you are doing is, you are telling the other country, India is telling them that, boss, you give me physical access, you give me physical access. So that's not triangulation. So please write. Under rules of origin, India demands certificate. India demands certificate from the trade partners related to the factories where the product has been manufactured. Factories where the product has been manufactured. India also demanded physical access to verify the factories, to find the origin of the product. To find the origin of the product. All your points are complete. All okay. So now I think we are out of time, so we'll do one thing. I will post this on your portal, this formula today. Please open your data book at home towards the end of the day, in the evening, late evening, and then you copy all these formulas there, and then you try to just look at what is written in this formula. For example, this is labor force LF. So wherever you see LF, you try to say, acha, this is labor force. TP means I will write the full form of all this in your formula. So do one thing, you copy all these things in your data book, you memorize it for tomorrow, and then you come in the class. I'll explain each of these things one by one, but you have to memorize the formula. So tomorrow data books there should be there in your hand, data diary, and you should write this, keep it open and keep answering the question. That's what we will do tomorrow. Please, sure.
Sir, I said India withdrawal from RCEP, but are we having free trade agreement with ASEAN countries?
Definitely, separately, bilateral, not under RCEP. Thank you so much, guys. So if you want to discuss anything, you wait. Otherwise, thank you. I asked you to wait. To my online students, can you please tell me, and I am already correcting your answers. So by the end of the week, when I get time on the weekend, I'll respond to all the answer sheets. I'm doing it very diligently. I'm seeing all your improvements and problem areas. So can you please tell me who is there, who is attending the lecture for the first time today online? Nobody, but somebody was there. Okay, nobody, great. So I'll talk to you in a minute. So, so if you're not attending the lecture for the first time, you know how to go about it. But if it is your first lecture and you are going to watch the recordings, then I request that you take at least 1 week, because I know someone who is attending it for the first time. So you take 1 week and you watch one video every day at least at a speed of 1.5x or 1.25. You will be able to complete all your dictations, you will be able to complete all the theories, because the topic we are going to start from tomorrow, it has no connection with previous topic. It's a brand new topic. So you please attend the lecture from tomorrow, but whatever you have missed previously, you watch it slowly. It has no connection with tomorrow's lecture. Those who are not in the class yesterday, you have a recording. Shali, if you missed the class yesterday, you have the recordings. You watch the recordings, because many people are watching the recording sessions also. So there is no such problem. If you face any difficulty, you let me know. I'm there. All right, fine. So see you then tomorrow in the class. And you have my email ID. Any case, if you face any issues, you let me know, please. All right, so tomorrow we are meeting for employment. When a software engineer goes to USA, is it also? Yes, Rajan, correct. Under trade agreement, yes. But without trade agreement, no problem. Thank you so much, Harshita. Under trade agreement, yes. Yes, you can, Vaishali, definitely. So thank you so much, guys. Then, no, it depends on which trade agreement has been signed. If trade agreement has been signed, then it is under trade agreement. If there is no trade agreement, there is no problem, you can move. Like without trade agreement, there was movement of cash between India and UAE. No trade agreement, yet movement of cash, that thing. Devanshu, email ID. @gmail.com. Huh? All right. So thank you so much. See you then tomorrow in the lecture, and wait for my this one-page formula list to be uploaded. Thank you, guys. Put me online. Back. Let me take some doubts if you guys are. Put me online then. Oh, I'm online only. Oh, cool. Then I think we have 10 minutes with us. Let's utilize the 10 minutes. So I will take some questions offline also. If there is any question, I'll answer so that all of you can benefit. About you, I asked you to stay. You understood now what you have to do? 1 week you have to watch all the videos. From tomorrow you attend the session, and tomorrow's lecture onwards, there is no connection with the previous lecture. So no need to worry at all. Bring a diary, small diary, called as data book. And take the help of your friends to understand what is data book. You write all the data what your friends have written, and this formula list I am going to paste. This also you should write under a page. So for example, open a page in your data book and give a title employment. Write all these formulas 1, 2, 3, 4. Come in the class, I will ask you question from here. Fine. In case of any doubts related to previous topics, whatever doubts are there, you please ask me after the class in every lecture. To my online and offline students, if you develop any doubts related to previous lecture, you are free to ask the questions. Then you are at the right place. Because anybody who has the basic is not welcome in the class. Because if you already know the subject, then you don't need me. If you are trying to learn the subject from absolute basic, then this is the right place. Because you are not doing any high funda things. Yes, we do high funda things, I'll tell you how. We start from here, absolute basic at a very normal pace. Sometimes people get bored also. And then from here we go there. And there we reach the highest level. So in employment, you will see it tomorrow. We'll start from absolute basic, zero of employment. Then we'll go from here. Don't worry about it. You'll have a journey. Normally at 10:30 I end the class. Normally, today I was not able to pace up because of this. Normally 10:30 class ends, and after that I take doubts only. Normally. So you can leave it. Okay, thank you so much. So no problem, Manas. You can definitely send. And yes, new topic employment tomorrow. Did you? Yes, Devanshu, 100% yes. I have a date. Okay, Manas. So have a good time with hammers and drill machines with your dentist. Hope you recover soon. I'm not trying to scare you. All right, so recover fast. Your question.
Although India has very strongest countries, one of the strongest countries in software.
Agreed.
Why there are no companies like Google, WhatsApp, etc. in India?
Two problems. Number one, that India never wanted our companies to scale up to that level. That's number one. Many problems are there. So we never fund which is required. Which fund am I talking? I'm talking about angel and venture fund. So we never allowed too many ventures to enter into India in last 30-40 years. So all the Googles, the Microsoft and the Apples that you see today, they didn't get funding in last 5 years. They were getting funding since last 30 years. That is how over a period of time they scaled up. So in last 30 years, we never created a super bank. India's capital market was very weak. So if you look at India's capital market, the bond market was almost negligible. When companies tried to sell bond to raise cash, nobody wanted to buy. Government put too much of regulation. And we didn't believe in too much of shares, because every time a foreigner used to come to India and say, I will give you money so that you can give me shares. Say we used to say that, no, what if you have a foreign partner and that destabilizes us? So we were too skeptical about growing up and using the foreign fund. Internally, the problem with India was our savings was never enough. And our savings were not being diverted to capital market. Instead, it was going to land, gold and jewelry. No, I'll come to that point again. But first is the capital part. So the capital part was a problem. Now let's come to the fostering relationship between industries and academic institutions. So for example, I can give you 2-3 examples. So for example, if you go to Swiss bank, or let's go to any company, Credit Suisse for example is from Switzerland. came to India for a recruitment in last 15 years, what used to happen was they were asking for specific kind of language and programming they were demanding from Indians, that Indian software industry should know this. They were trying to recruit, they had let's say 100 vacancies, they could find only 10. Which means we don't update ourselves even in new languages and new skill set, whatever is there in vogue, we don't update ourselves. There is no training institute, and if you want to update yourself, it's very costly in India. So those two problems. So what happened, many of these companies, I am unable to recall all of, but I'm not teaching you anything, I'm just answering your friend who is asking something out of, we have studied so far, just a generic, you don't need to write all this, just keep listening to it, one day you will learn. Capital market also, I'll teach you these companies also later, learn it. So skill wise there was a huge problem. So money not there, skill not there. Plus the government of India is bound by one problem, which is if somebody wants to open this IT sector in India, you need permission of states also. Because land, electricity, water, all within the purview of state. Example, Infosys wants to open IT park in Bihar. The state government of Bihar says, I don't want it. Now how will it happen? So similarly, a very big company across the world, they wanted to open IT. Finished. Third problem. Skill not there and the support of the state government not there. These are some major problems. The next problem is the R&D culture. There is one big companies that we are more oriented towards profits. We keep on fit aaya nahi aaya, money aaya nahi aaya. We keep on looking whether money has not. We don't feel like taking out the money and say, Acha, I have this much cash. Let me take out 10 rupees and for R&D. That culture is missing in India. We hold on to the money and we feel, from this money I will buy new land, new property, but I will not put the money in R&D. That's a very negative culture in Indian corporates. These are some of the behavioral issues. So for now, I think this should help.
So is it good to imply protectionism to develop these things?
Can't answer in black and white, not possible at this stage. So we can only answer it when we have little more knowledge about capital market. As of now, we should not be too hurried to answer this because these are deeper questions. Because every time you adopt protectionism, your score in trade openness in IMF goes down, and then tomorrow if you face any problem, they will tell you, but you understand the Chinese case. China is powerful, it can pay bribes to World Bank also. To improve its ranking, it paid bribe to the president of the World Bank. So, entire ranking system had to be removed. That's why there is no rank of ease of doing business. So, it's very different. But India wants to do the fair way. So, we'll learn it slowly over a period. All fine. You are coming.
You asked yesterday at the website.
So, have you watched that video of the test? No? You should. So, anybody online and offline, the test like Devanshu, I request that you please watch that video and see the questions, and then at your home you please look at time, then you write the answer and you mail your answer to me. So for example, you bring the hard copy and Devanshu, you mail the answer to me. You already mailed, great, I'll check it slowly. Fine, so because over the week I'll check it. So that you do. That's why I asked you to stay, number one. Number two, there are one or two things which we discussed during the answer yesterday which has connection with trade. So you please make some pointers in your notebook also, and I have given one handout also, which is this. So please don't look at the handout first. First write your answers in a timed manner, and then you attach your answer sheet plus the brainstorming part. Both the answer sheet and brainstorming, give it to me. To my online students, brainstorming and answer sheet, both are needed. Okay.